1, go!
Sitting comfortably, then we'll begin.
Drop the needle!
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the Uncalled For. We have a great show for you tonight. We have an excellent panel for you. We have a special guest and everything. But before we do those, I just have to grab a couple member messages. Thank you so much, everybody, for your support. We've got one from Mipet69 who says, looking forward to an awesome show with a heart. Thank you so much, Mipet. And then we have one from Sarcastic Barman who says, ooh, free message. Say hi to the old people. Thanks, I guess. Thank you very much, Carmen. Thank you very much, Mipet, too. And thank you for your support, everybody. Before we get started, too, we've got a great panel here. We've got Dick Dawson here. We've got DKG Custom. We've got Claire S. Bear. We've got, Charlie Welsh with us. And also we have introducing to you our special guest, Culture Catz. Hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing, Aimee? Good to be back. I love this channel. It's good to be back on it. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. How about you?
yeah, really well, thanks. Really well.
Good. Well, I'm excited about this show tonight. We have a great show planned.
Should we jump in with the big disclaimers right away that we are not promoting this, we are debunking it? Do you hear me, YouTube? Do you hear me?
YouTube, listen up. We're debunking. We're not spreading misinformation. We're debunking the misinformation. So we want to make sure we bring that up at intervals throughout the show because, you know, we don't want another ding again, because what we're doing is we're going to make sure that when we talk about the misinformation, we're going to give you the correct information, and we're debunking what we're seeing that's coming out that's wrong information. So
this is not the misinformation pageant.
Exactly. Charlie's got it. Not misinformation. And please timestamp those.
We'll have to emphasize the anti rhetoric.
Exactly. The anti-rhetoric. Thank you. Yes, we're going to be debunking the rhetoric. So now that we've got that first disclaimer out of the way. So should we jump right in and get started on the big stuff too?
Mm-hmm. I think Catz has laid out quite a program for us tonight. So
excellent.
Is it most appropriate we turn right to him?
Yes, please.
Ooh, I don't know about.
Oh, there you go. Oof.
Oof. Don't know how much of a program, but so the idea then tonight, at least the conversations we had before we started, is that we were going to talk about what I class as misinformation coming out of a channel by the name of Dr. John Campbell, who's up to what, 2.5 million subscribers now?
Ouch.
2.5 million. And I have sent you a few clips and stuff, but what I wanted to, if it's all right with you, is to try and tell you kind of like how I got to where I am with the guy, in terms of like my own journey with him. So I was a classroom teacher for 20 years. All right. I know I don't look old enough. But I was a classroom teacher for 20 years. And at the end of most of my lessons, what I'd usually do is in the last 5 minutes, find a little video clip on YouTube that related to what we taught in that lesson, because the kids liked it. You know, they liked sitting there and watching something on the big projector. They liked to hear explanations coming from different people. And one of the people I used to turn to on a really regular basis was Dr. John Campbell. Right? He was a part of my classroom, and I did send you one of his videos, Dick. It was the one that I think I've already said it's the one I want to use first. Just a little clip to show you the type of content he used to do. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm all set and ready here. This is Genetics 2, chromosomes and cell division, correct?
Yeah, and there's no
just cell division, correct?
Yeah, just play it as long as you want to, as long as you want to play it for. There's no real start or end point on this. Just to get
pre-pseudoscience then.
Pre-pseudoscience. In this video, my students have seen in the classroom. This is how I used to not promote him. He didn't mean my promotion, but this is how I used to use him in the classroom. This type of content.
Now here we see the 46 chromosomes that make up the human carrier type that's carrying all of the genetic information. And these 46 chromosomes are actually in 23 pairs. And we can see that if we cut them out, and we can see here that they are in fact in pairs, homologous pairs. The 46 chromosomes made up of 23 pairs.
Now
this pair here doesn't quite look like a pair, but they are, because that's the X chromosome.
Right. That he's showing on the screen was an activity I had my year 8s do. We did the same thing, and I'd seen this video, and he'd stuck them on the piece of paper, and I thought, oh, that's great, because that's what we're doing, and this is how I used to use him. And what stands out to me when I was looking at him and his videos was that his educational videos were of that perfect level that a child who's 12 or 13 would like to watch, would like to, you know, they were of that level of a pre-GCSE child. And I'm not saying that to knock Dr. John Campbell. I'm just saying it because that's the level his work was. I've no idea who his target audience were, but that is kind of where I saw his place. And then I kind of stopped using him for a while. I think I started using Professor Dave. We moved on to different people. And I completely forgot all about him until the middle of the pandemic. So I feel like I've rambled on a little bit there.
No,
not at all.
We need a backstory.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just about to get to, but I was stumbling on my own tongue.
Because it does show how dangerous. I mean, you're talking about millions, exposure to millions of people, and how he does actually, he knew he knows better. That's what that shows, culture. That he absolutely knows better.
Yeah, my theory already, Catz, is that he started with the kid-like teaching on purpose to get traction and then transitioned into what he was really shooting to unleash on the world afterwards. Same with some of the bots right now that we're getting in comments. They build up a real account and then let off the BS, and that's how they're slipping through better than the other ones.
I mean, I do absolutely get that with some creators. What I'll say with John Campbell is he was around, I think, it must have been 10 years before he kind of went off the rails. So I'm not sure.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure with him.
Maybe it's crystal meth then.
Yeah.
Or it's because it is it gets traction. Like there you go. You just have to go like I've been known for this, so I've got a little bit of cred. Let me swing it a little bit to this side and watch the numbers fly, because it's just crazy how he went the other way like so fast.
He did, and like a lot of people perhaps don't know the story of it, but as the pandemic kind of hit, he kind of turned his educational videos more towards viruses and the immune response. And then when he kind of exhausted all that, he was doing little daily or bi-daily bulletins where he was keeping people up to speed with the latest developments and numbers. A bit like, I don't know, did you have it in America? We had daily briefings with the Prime Minister. Yes. He would come out. You had the same thing?
Yes.
Yep, from every level of government.
Yep, like over and over. Yep.
Yeah, so like saturated with it, and we were the same, and that's kind of what he did, and he was very much pro social distancing, pro wearing your masks, pro everything really, until he made a video about ivermectin, which is another one of the ones I've sent you, Dick, but I can't actually remember which one it was.
I got it. I can bring it up right away if you want. No problem.
Oh, brilliant. And there's a time stamp on it.
You wanted to start at 3 minutes, correct?
Oh, brilliant. You're a legend.
You'd swear I've done this before, wouldn't you?
I've seen this with other drugs that have been good in vitro activity, but not necessarily transposing in vivo into the living subject. But good against a wide range of viruses in vitro. And in vitro antiviral studies have been shown to work some efficacy against dengue, influenza, Zika virus. In vitro antiviral activity has been demonstrated against SARS coronavirus 2. So it's getting interesting already. Big reduction in viral numbers after 48 hours in vitro studies. Worldwide use for treating COVID-19. It's been used unofficially in quite a few places, but what can we make of this data is what we need to look at. But it's been used extensively. Apparently about 3.7 billion doses have been used over the past 30 years for treating parasites. So what we're looking at is a drug that's established for treating parasites.
Okay, so if we stop there. So he made this video. This is while I wasn't, he wasn't on my radar. I'd kind of forgotten all about him. Wasn't using him in the classroom anymore. But he made this video and a couple of others where you can see in that video he's starting to question, not question, but kind of lean towards ivermectin could be a really good drug for treating SARS-CoV-2. And he's give the headlines of a study where ivermectin was shown to be effective against SARS-CoV-2, which is all fine. Okay. However, at that time, he had an accomplice. He had a friend who's got her own channel now. Who is a proper scientist, a PhD scientist in nanobiology, called Dr. Susan Oliver. She has a channel called the Back to the Science channel. Now, she used to be on Dr. Campbell's channel where they talked about wearing masks and social distancing. But basically, when he was talking common sense, they were friends. And she's seen the videos that he's making on ivermectin, and she said, "Oh, hang on a minute," and she sent him a paper. Right now, I'm not saying I'm close with Dr. Susan Oliver in any way, shape, or form, but we do every now and then send a message on Twitter in the DMs and stuff. So, hopefully she don't think I'm speaking out of line. But she sent him a paper, and I think I linked you to the paper. It was link number 2.
On it. Got it right here. I had to have a second group of papers and stuff here. There we go. This one here, tipping point. Oh, no. You're looking for this one. Yeah. This one. Here we go.
Okay. So she sent him this paper. Now, this paper here was the paper that John Campbell had kind of got his ideas from, that ivermectin had shown to be effective against SARS-CoV-2. But what this paper actually showed was it was effective against SARS-CoV-2 in kidney cells in monkeys. But of course, in humans, it's lung tissue, which it needs to be effective on. And different viruses have different ways of entering different cells, depending on the type of cell. You know, they're going to be able to enter some more freely than others, etc. And what this study actually showed was that, yeah, brilliant. We have shown it to be effective in kidney cells in monkeys. However, it is not effective against preventing SARS-CoV-2 entering human lung tissue. Therefore, it is absolutely categorically not going to be something we can use to treat SARS-CoV-2. So she sent that to Dr. John Campbell and said, who, by the way, is a nurse. His PhD is in nursing education. He's not a doctor, medical doctor. And the response that she got from that was suddenly to be completely ghosted, to be ignored on WhatsApp, to be ignored on social media, and he just never spoke to her again. One can only assume. I've never said that in my whole adult life. One can. That makes it sound quite posh. Look at that. Is that the beer doing it?
That's so posh.
Yes.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
damn posh.
Oh, my excuse me. I am working with the upper classes now.
World
all these
Cup
guys.
rub off. Yeah, World Cup rub off. It's fine.
One can. Dear me, my mum would beat the shit out of me if she heard me speaking like that. But I can only assume that when he started making these videos about ivermectin, there was a certain conspiratorial crowd that jumped on him, and that was really when his channel started to boom, because he was supporting these alternative ideas in their eyes. And I think he's looked and said, well, I've got a shitload of views on one side, excuse my language, and I've got this woman telling me I'm wrong on the other, but nobody knows that. So if I just keep my mouth shut, I'll just carry on with what I'm doing. And I think that was the turning point. I don't know about you guys, but that was my thought.
Yeah. So he ghosted her rather than admit there was credible information there that he could use to correct himself on the very first video before he got too deep into the mire here, so to speak, of misinformation. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That tells you something.
Exactly.
Like he was handed it on a golden platter, like to save himself from
So
this.
did the timing coincide with ivermectin hitting the news?
Yeah, that's exactly. It was the
Pretty
time
much.
when was Donald Trump.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
that's
he
what I was,
took
that's
it,
what I was
right,
leading
yeah.
to.
Mhm.
He piggybacked on that and got views from it and liked how it tasted, I think.
Mhm.
That's how it sounds to me. That's exactly what it sounds to me. And you use the word ghosted, Claire, which is exactly the word Susan Oliver said to me in a message that he ghosted her.
Yeah, that's a big tell right there. I mean, when somebody like doesn't even address the fact, like if you're really standing on your argument and he really thinks he's got something here, you think he would have took that paper and he would have said, yes, my colleague brought this, but let me tell you why I don't think it's true, blah, blah, and go against it and give himself a little bit of credit. But instead, he just like, there's something going on when he just ghosts her, hide the paper, don't address it, and just pray that the people that are coming in here to hear the rhetoric aren't even going to know it's there. Well, they're not going to care anyway, in my personal opinion, because they run away from that stuff too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It seems really hard to believe, because I remember seeing this guy, very early on, as far as the pandemic was concerned, and he seemed to be very, very much like pro data and pro information, and like Catz said, he was all about anything that we could do to prevent the spread of the virus. It just sounds like you're talking about a completely different guy.
Exactly. Now, I don't know. I don't want to step out of line and say something that's blatantly not true. A few people did leave comments on my video after I made my first video about him, saying that during the pandemic, his dad died and he wasn't allowed access to his dad. And I just wonder if that's obviously going to be quite a traumatic event, and I wonder if that's made him angry, frustrated, and turn his anger against, you know, the lockdown and all those kind of measures, you know, which you can understand that it would do, but you know, I'm probably just...
but somebody that comes from the mindset of actually understanding more than the basic fundamentals of the topic shouldn't let personal situations and angers color what is, in my mind, a responsibility to make sure you're communicating properly.
Yeah. To go back to what DK said about him having the experience and putting the data out there, that is what, when I was speaking to you prior, Catz, about this, and we were looking at the data, what really threw me is that here is a man up there showing the graphs, showing the and actually leading people how to read it wrong, leading people how to support the wrong argument by putting it up there. That was what I found so dangerous about the misinformation, that he was purposely putting up those graphs and reading them incorrectly and showing other people how to read them incorrectly and pull the wrong data off and only pull it apples to oranges instead of apples to apples, so to speak. Like, show them how to just show this little box here and not the rest of the picture. That was so dangerous.
Definitely.
Well, and that's the problem too. It goes, you know, him falling for this misinformation stuff is it's really scary. He's educated in this stuff. Now, take us, for example. When my son was diagnosed, I was by myself. I saw some of the stuff that came out, the anti-vax stuff, and how scary that was to me. But I had the wherewithal to go and check into this and talk to a doctor and research things and look into it and find out that all of that was debunked. The scary part is he did not. That's how influential your biases can be.
The scary part as well, Aimee, is like you said, you went and talked to a doctor about it. I mean, you could be talking to a doctor who's also lost his way, as it were. So it's like, and you're supposed to trust them. So it makes that whole level of trust, you know, very, very flimsy.
Well, and that's it right there too. That's really scary. We have a super chat in. Jim Broughton for £5 says, Dr. Watson is a charlatan, deliberately misusing his credentials to assert some sense of authority. Thank you very much, Jim. And that's true. And just to make another disclaimer, we're not promoting misinformation. We are debunking it. We do not spread it here. We're trying to just debunk the things that are wrong. Thank you.
No, it's
there's only one thing we spread here, and that's love.
And bullshit.
We do, DK. Yes, loving bullshit.
This Dr. Campbell had a wide enough scope to where Catz and DK know who he is. So that's
that is, and a lot of other people are using it too, because there's a lot of talking kids that I follow on the misinformation track on the right a little bit that like to use it for politically, for campaigns, for misinformation, to just go against the authoritative organizations like the CDC and WHO and everybody else, and they are using a lot of this stuff because of the numbers, because of the people putting it out there. And that's what, so that really strikes me though, Catz, if it's a personal thing because he was having a hard time, like that's a big turn to take from scientists to just go against something like this.
I think it's a combination of a few things. Hopefully, I can make a case for it tonight. We'll see. But I think it's a combination of, having those blinkers on because of what's happened and wanting to direct some anger somewhere, but also because I think he's formed a conclusion in his head, and I think that just the merest hint or sniff of a headline is enough to trigger his confirmation bias, and then nothing else that's really going on seems to be worth his investigation skills. For example, I have sent you a couple of other links, which there was a PDF document, one from the British Heart Foundation, and then there was one I sent not so long after that. Either one of those for now would be great.
British Heart document. Oh, yeah, here we go. All right.
ASM.
So the reason I want to bring this up is essentially, now we're getting into it. Since he's made those ivermectin videos, and then since he's kind of shunned the people that were with him talking common sense, every video he seems to make, he'll never come out right and say what he thinks. But what he'll do is he'll come out and say, oh, look, we have excess deaths in this area over here, or we have excess deaths in this area. And yes, there might be some explainable reasons, but I'm just asking the question, right? I'm asking the question, is there another reason? And the way that he says it and the way that he asks it, all his subscribers are picking up that he means the vaccine is causing these deaths. Okay.
Yep.
But what he never, ever does is actually properly dive into what these other possibilities can be. Now, on that link you've got there, if you can scroll down, and I'm looking for a graphic that's a bar chart. It's very heavy on. There we go. Is that okay?
Let me see if I can make it a little bigger here.
I've been trying that for 43 years, mate, and it just.
I was going to drop something, but I left it alone. We're so intellectual tonight.
But okay, so this graph here is showing the red bars there represent the number of people in the UK that have been waiting for over 12 months for a heart procedure. Obviously, quite an important procedure, and that is staggering. That just shows what the pandemic has done. All those thousands and thousands of people. Now who are at least 12 months behind getting a heart procedure, and you compare that to pre-pandemic levels, that's quite striking. That's quite stark. And when you look at information like that, you could fully understand why we've got people in the UK dying from or excess deaths due to heart conditions. I don't think anyone would be surprised looking at that, will they?
No,
it's unfortunate because wow, like look at that fucking growth at the end. Dear Lord, that's scary.
Yep.
It is huge. And what he'll do in his videos is he'll pay a passing nod to data like that. He'll say, well, access to care and longer waiting lists are clearly a part of the issue. But what I'm asking is there another issue that's triggering these excess deaths? And that's it. That's about as much. He'll give it, like a hand wave, as he's riding past the topic or whatever, but he won't actually stop and actually focus on the real issue, which is that. And I sent you another PDF document as well, Dick, and I think it was to do with the NHS, but I can't remember what the name was.
Yeah, fixing the NHS.
Fixing the NHS. So this document that Dick's about to bring up came out in September 22, and this was by you can see on the screen, the Academy of Medical Royal Colleges, and this just represents thousands and thousands of doctors and high-level nurses. And if you scroll down, what you'll find is a foreword by this lady here talking about how they don't like to speak publicly about the state of the NHS, but they feel compelled to now. And if we just look through this document, maybe go to 2 pages on from where you are here, the real horrors kind of become apparent. So this is one story. A guy called, David's story, you can see there, is an 87-year-old prostate cancer sufferer. He fell over in his own backyard at 87, and he broke his pelvis, he broke his hip, and they phoned for an ambulance, and they were told by the call handlers just not to move the patient until an ambulance got there. And 15 hours had passed. And to keep him warm, they had to build that as some kind of makeshift tent for an 87-year-old man who was waiting 15 hours.
Look
now,
at that. You can, sorry to interrupt there, Catz, but you can see his feet sticking out. Like he's under that. This is not an after picture.
No. This is as it happened. Yeah. It's horrible, isn't it? And I mean, listen, my dad was an ambulance man, and I've got so much respect for what nurses and ambulance men do, and all the emergency services. Like, it's not their fault. But during the pandemic, we were pretty much on track almost for ambulance waiting times. Now we're about 45 minutes behind what our target is. We have these heart procedures that you've just seen on the graph there. The waiting times are absolutely through the roof. That document lays out loads of similar stories like that, one including a young man that was just having access, in this case, to mental health care. He ended up taking his own life because he just wasn't being given access to the care he wants. The NHS is an absolute breaking point because of, it wasn't in a fit state before the pandemic, but the waiting times and the problems that the pandemic caused are now just, that's the lad there, unfortunately. it's crippled the NHS, and people are suffering, and they are unfortunately losing their lives because of the impact that the pandemic had on an already stressed NHS system. But he'll never go into any of this, will Dr. John Campbell. He'll just say, oh, access to care and delayed access, yeah, probably is a cause, but I'm looking for something else. And then he'll talk about vaccines and viruses until the cows come home. You know, he'll just give this hand wave dismission, hand wave acknowledgement to the problem the NHS is hitting, you know, and I find that quite sickening.
It is, but all of that just shows how much the system got taxed by the virus, by the pandemic itself, and by everybody being exposed to it. And yet they're denying that it, some of them are actually denying that it even happened. And yet the whole system practically collapsed, because the same thing happened here in America. I mean, yeah.
We up here in Canada, we've got such an intense situation of burnout in our healthcare workers that we've got some that are on leave because they can't take it. And half of the burnout comes from the fact that they're dealing with the deniers and whatnot, yelling and screaming at them all the time. And it's got to the point of insanity where they can't take it anymore. You know, and that's not helping. We should not be treating them with angst and anger.
No.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed.
It's a little scary, because here in America, I get the weekly update, and they're actually predicting already within the last 2 weeks, we got a 65% increase in cases to the point of hospitalization because of combined disorders, not just from another bout.
That one.
Yeah. I don't know what to call it anymore. Do you hear me hesitating? It's not that I'm stuttering. I don't know what to call it anymore. I just
It's 2022. You can't say much of anything.
I can't. It's like, it's not too fair.
Another disclaimer: we are debunking. Thanks, YouTube.
We're
All
debunking.
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are debunking. We are not spreading misinformation. We are debunking it. Thank you.
We just get cancelled for being racist to viruses now or something like that.
I know.
Oh gosh.
You're a virus.
We're
love it.
virus.
Love it.
Perfect. Well,
So, sorry, go on, Claire.
no, I was going to say all three of our countries experienced the same thing. The healthcare system took such a huge hit, and it still hasn't recovered. It hasn't recovered sufficiently. And yet there are people right now here in America going back and doing a look back and attacking everyone who tried to do anything about it, like anything they can do to discredit those that are speaking on it is terrible. While we're still suffering from it, they're out there saying it didn't exist, that it was just all made up. Like it's beyond me.
It's beyond me too.
So, Catz, were you ever in personal contact with Dr. Campbell?
No. I mean, you know, the UK is a small country. It's not quite that small. I definitely used him in the classroom with the kids, like I said, but
sounds like you were really let down by him.
You know, honestly, I was, because it's hard to put into words, but like you get those kids in front of you that you know every lesson. It's like, what we're gonna finish a lesson off? Should we do a quiz? Should we do the last 5 minutes? They're like, oh, John Campbell, you know, and he was like part of the lesson, you know, like, and you know, even sometimes kids be like, yeah, here he is, because they found him quite quaint, and I don't know, they just really liked him, you know. So it was like a kick in the balls.
It's kind of like, you know, really loving a band or a band's music, and then the lead member goes and says something fucking stupid, and
or they do a
think,
disco album.
That's it. Yeah, it just destroys that impression you had of them beforehand.
Definitely, yeah, definitely, it was a real kick in the nuts.
I must admit, Catz, I was really surprised you said his dad died. I mean, fuck's sake, John Campbell's no spring chicken himself.
Somebody commented in my video saying he's me in about 8 years, so I don't know what.
No, more than 80 years.
Ouch!
Well, you don't make no plan. We're not letting you get away with this stuff. You're not doing the Campbell plan. No.
I'll try not to. I'll try not to. God.
Yeah.
Well, unless the views go up.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Now, I'll book a plane ticket, grab DK, and we'll show up and straighten your ass out. Ain't happening.
Yeah, if I ever do anything like that, please do. Bloody hell. So
It's amazing how far you can shove a Les Paul up someone's ass.
Oh.
Oh dear me. Yeah. I'm sorry. I've just got a vision of me walking around with half a guitar cable hanging out my backside.
Oh God.
So we've established. I'm just trying to think where I'm up to now. We've established that he used to be okay, and then he started making ivermectin videos and then took off and ignored everybody else around him with any common sense. And then he likes to talk about excess deaths, but he never likes to talk about problems in the NHS or anything like that. So should we have a look at his crap use of data? How does that?
All right.
Oh, I think it's perfect timing.
And I've got to have a big shout out to AB Science here. And I keep calling him AB Science, but he's not called AB Science anymore. What's he called now?
Oh, he screwed it up to the point.
It's science it out. Yeah.
No.
Because he changed it to a little scientific, like an element or something in Discord. And I was like, well, how the fuck am I supposed to call you anything by that, you twit?
Is it like Prince changing his name to Symbol?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Is that Nadino? Is it Nadine? No, that's not him.
No.
I've no idea. No idea. God, which video was it? Let's have a look.
So,
okay.
Did you want to go to excess deaths?
Is that
the
number
lack of data, or are we going to one of yours?
You know what? Let's take a punt. Let's go to okay. Let's just go to excess deaths and see what that says, because I can't remember what's on each link. Let's have a look and it'll remind me.
Yeah, we got a timestamp of 3 minutes on this one, and he looks like he's a little angsty, so it's probably a good one to go for.
If you go to that one, can you go? I think I put on my Twitter my message 45 seconds first, and then we'll skip to 3 minutes. But you can do it 45 seconds onwards.
Okay. There we go. All right, here we go. It's all yours. What's the intro here? Do you want to give us the lowdown on what's coming, or do you want it to be a surprise?
No. So the lowdown, what's happening here is me trying to lay out exactly how John Campbell presents his videos. So here, he's going to start talking to us about Australia and all the stats surrounding excess deaths in Australia. That's for this first section. And then the rest will become clear when I say pause and we go on to the next timestamp.
Perfect. All right, here we go.
There were 111,000 deaths that occurred by the 30th of July, registered by the 30th of September, but this is the key point, 16,375 above what we would expect, 17.3% higher than we would expect. So we're seeing a great increase in excess deaths in Australia, as we are in other countries. The Bureau doesn't particularly explain this. It just says they exist. We might be looking at some explanations later.
Okay, so what he's done, though, is he's laid the groundwork in this video where he said, look, here's Australia, loads and loads of excess deaths, but nobody's given us a reason why. Now, his video is called Excess Deaths, lack of data. So anybody that thinks that I'm exaggerating what he's done here can go and watch his video. You can track it down. I swear to God, I'm not exaggerating a single thing. But he then does waffle for a bit up to the next timestamp, which I've put as being 3 minutes. So bearing in mind, he's set the scene now. He's talked about lots and lots of excess deaths, and he's looking for a reason for it. Obviously, subscribers are jumping to the idea that it's the vaccine. Let's see where he goes next. 3 minutes in.
This increase in excess deaths that we are seeing, because it is very significant. Anyway, there's the links there. Since the pandemic began, over 30,000 excess deaths involving heart disease. And increasing all the time, of course. 230 additional deaths a week average over the pandemic. but it does seem to be increasing, as we'll be looking at in a minute. Heart disease is amongst the most prominent diseases involved in the high number of excess deaths since the start of the pandemic, as we know. And we have done specific videos on this in the past. While COVID-19 was likely a significant factor, these are direct quotes from the British Heart Foundation, COVID infections are no longer a driving force. In other words, they are clearly saying that this is not caused by COVID infection per se anymore. They're attributing it mostly to difficulty in accessing services. I'm just asking the question, is there additional causes as well as that? Anecdotal evidence is increasing.
Okay, so and this is what he does, you know, are there additional causes? And he goes on to talk about to say things that make his subscribers believe that a particular medical I want to be careful with your channel here, but a particular medical intervention may be the cause of what's going on, you know what I mean? So that's what his subscribers pick up on it. So in that video, he started off talking about data in Australia, making a really big point about excess deaths in Australia. And then when we skipped to that 3-minute mark, which was only like a minute and a half down the line from where we left the original, the first clip, he's talking about all these excess deaths in Britain due to heart conditions. Now, we've already seen with the data why that might be in Britain, because of that huge skewed graph of how many people have had, like, just the thousands of people that have delayed care to heart procedures in the UK. But his audience are tying the two together. They are tying the idea that we've got all these excess deaths in Australia, and we've got all these excess deaths related to heart conditions in the UK. Therefore, the vaccine is causing excess deaths due to heart conditions. Right now, he does show us where he gets his data from, which is the Australian version of the Office of National Statistics. But what he doesn't do ever for a single second is go into that data for Australia and show whether there are excess conditions linked to heart disease. And this is where I think he's lazy. And this is where I put link 3 at 9 minutes for you. If you can just bring that up. Maybe just pause it before you start. But
link 3 at 9 minutes. Yep, here we go. Okay, I'm all ready. So you want to I'm ready to go. Did you want to bring in anything more or just play it?
Can you just so I get fresh in my head where I've left it from, can you just maybe play the first second and then I'll stop? Just play that again. Go on. Just play it.
Just
sorry.
Read it out without any context.
Okay, stop. I'll give you the wrong link there. Sorry.
Okay.
I meant link 5, 11 minutes 21. Of course I did.
Okay, 11:20. No problem. We're ready to go.
Sorry, mate.
No worries.
Okay, right. So what we've got on the screen here, right? So John, this is my response to the video you just seen with John Campbell. He's laid down the groundwork to make people believe that these excess deaths in Australia are caused by ischemic heart diseases, is what he said, which is odd because that's to do with fat deposits, but still, that's the heart disease he was talking about. And he's done that by linking the excess deaths due to heart conditions in the UK with excess deaths in Australia, even though we've just seen the possible reasons for the excess deaths due to heart conditions in the UK. But when you actually access the Australian data and you go to the deaths for heart conditions, this is what you see. So I'll let you play from there.
All right.
74, and we're going to look at the ischemic heart diseases. We'll notice that table 76 gives us a death rate per month due to these heart diseases, and row 77 gives us the baseline average. So if I just hop along here to July, we can see that in 2022, July, the death rate was 3.846, yet the baseline average is 4.186. So we're actually below the baseline average for ischemic heart diseases in July of this year. If I move to June, again, we are below the baseline average. If I move to May, we are below the baseline average. If I move to April, we are below the baseline average. If I move to March, we are below the baseline average.
Is the record skipping?
You get the idea. Every single month of this year, the death rate for ischemic heart diseases has been below the baseline average.
Now, it's funny that, isn't it?
Do you want to keep going there, or?
Well, there is. I think there is another bit in a second. But basically, yeah, he's made that link. He's made his subscribers have that link that the virus, the vaccine, the medical intervention could be causing deaths by due to heart conditions. He's then found the only place that he can find huge amounts of excess death due to heart conditions, which is the UK, because of the backlog we've just seen, that monster graph we've just seen. But he's not actually gone to the Australia data to show anybody that actually, no, in Australia, deaths due to heart disease are actually below the baseline average. And I think I look at it, I think there is another 30 seconds where I go to previous years. It might be worth playing. I can't quite remember, but it might be worth playing on.
Yeah, let's bring it up.
John, it's funny how you forgot somehow to include that bit of data in your data intensive video, isn't it? It's funny how somebody can watch your video and walk away with the impression that perhaps ischemic heart-related conditions are causing excess deaths in Australia due to some autoimmune response. It's funny, isn't it? How they can walk away from your video with that impression, but at the same time have not been shown that ischemic heart-related deaths in Australia are currently below the baseline average. It's astounding that you might forget to put that in your video. It's I'm sure you just had an off day. Anyway, 2020.
You're too kind. You're so kind.
So this bit, I didn't realize I waffled on for so long. This is where I go back to the prevish year. Actually, yeah. So if you could just carry that on for another 20 sorry. Yeah.
But that was so funny. I thought it was the punchline. So that was so good. Okay, here we go.
22 is only 7 months, isn't it? So the medical intervention that is the elephant in the room was actually introduced in early 2021 in Australia. So let's go back and look at some more earlier data. Now, the next spreadsheet I want you to download is called the 2021 Underlying Causes of Death. We can see here, I've clicked on the tab at the bottom that says Table 1.2, which is going to give us data on the underlying cause of death for as many causes as you could possibly need. I've scrolled all the way down here to row 722. That's going to give you an idea of how much data is in this spreadsheet. 722 tells us about ischemic heart diseases. When I click on the number of people who died in 2021, which was the year that a particular medical intervention was released, we could see 17,331. Is that an increase or a decrease on the previous year? Well, let's have a look. If I scroll to the left to 2020, we can see in 2020, 16,587 people died. So if I was to stop there, I might say, well, in 2021, in the year a particular medical intervention was rolled out, more people died of ischemic heart diseases than the previous year. And that fact alone is true. But let's go a little bit further back. Let's go to 2019. And what we'll see with 2019 is that 18,422 people died from ischemic heart diseases, which is more pre this medical intervention than we got in 2021 post the medical intervention. If I move back to 2018, I can again see 17,771 deaths. Again, that is more pre-pandemic, more people dying of ischemic heart diseases than in 2021, which was the year that the medical intervention was rolled out. I can go to 2017, and again, I can see 18,745. This is more people dying from ischemic heart diseases than in 2021. More people dying pre-pandemic from ischemic heart diseases than post this medical intervention. In fact, I can go to 2016, and again, I can see that the number in 2016 is higher. I can go to 2015, and I can see the number of people in 2015 is higher. And I think you get the picture. I can keep doing this.
You get the picture.
Wow.
But John Campbell forgot to use that. He forgot to, and this is his thing. You know, nothing he said was untrue. It wasn't untrue when he said there were excess deaths in Australia. It wasn't untrue when he talked about excess heart-related deaths. Sorry, go on.
But Catz, did he forget, or did he pick and choose the research he was willing to release on his own behalf?
Honestly, I don't think he even bothered to look.
Exactly.
I think he had the headline he wanted, and that was his confirmation bias, and he didn't even bother to look, is what I think.
I mean, this is always the problem with anybody who just likes uses the first page of statistics. Statistics, just like you can make a mess of them without even trying.
And honestly, those statistics, although for Australia, you can correlate them to the United States and other forms that I went and looked into that actually pre the virus, those types of heart disease that they were talking about being possibly caused by the vaccine were higher in 2018 and 2019, and with some increase in the early 2020. But as the vaccine was more and more used in 2021 and further, the number was decreased. Especially for the ones that they're talking about in the pericardium, where they say the most of the damage was causing for infection or damage or oxygen control. The number went down. So I don't know why they keep saying it.
Exactly. I just want to jump in real fast. We have a super chat from Gwen Moon for Australian $2. It doesn't have a message, but if you have something that you want highlighted, we'll definitely read that out for you. Thank you so much, Gwen, for your support. Thank you.
Do you think it's just like in our need to actually get all this information out? When the pandemic first started, all of the organizations in all of our countries, the NHS, the CDC, WHO, everybody was releasing the papers on the information of anything we found out quickly and putting them out there. And they're just getting cherry picked. Like no one's looking at it with
all information is misinformation to somebody.
Exactly. It seems like they're just taking little, like, yes, they did start to track because they noticed some people were having some type of heart issues, whether it was because of the vaccine or the pressure on their bodies from fighting it for their immune system, or oxygen related due to lungs, because it is respiratory, a lot of the symptoms. There's a lot of reasons why it could have been. So they started to track it and report on it, and everybody takes that and runs with it as if it's a major complication and another reason why you shouldn't do what they say you should do. Like, they don't even wait for the rest of the information to come out.
Yeah. Very much. I would equate a few of our compatriots here will understand what I'm talking about, but Catz just had to get some refreshments, and this is a remark that I think he'll take close to heart too. So I might babble for a second and give myself a moment to make sure he's back for the remark. If somebody else has one, you're more than welcome to jump in.
I kind of laughed that you said, he needs to go and get refreshments, whereas the actual reason he went is it was right up on screen. You can see the message come up.
Oh, I have a few too many messages on screen, so I didn't see it. Oh yeah, I get it. Yeah. So well, no, but that's appropriate, because I was going to make a remark towards flat Earth and falling down the rabbit hole versus this doctor, bend over and I'll snap my glove, whatever his name is. And I think there's an analogy there, Catz, what I was thinking here is this guy's fall from being somebody who's putting out something that's kind of like real information down into the rabbit hole of stupid really reminds me of the tale of somebody who's, very distrustful of everything, finding flat Earth and running amok.
Yeah. And I think both have got a lot of things in common, where I think both of them want to believe in something. Both of them want, and it's so easy to find just a headline that will allow you to believe that.
That's right.
As a flat earther, you get your headline. Oh, how can you have gas pressure next to a container? Bang! You put the fences up there. You don't need to ask anymore or dig any deeper.
Yes, go down, go boom, boom.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And in John Campbell's case, we've got excess deaths, so that's it. That's done. But of course, he will claim that he's only looking at the data. But I doubt that. Yeah, he's
looking at the data that makes him feel good about his position, and as such reports it. He's not going in with an unbiased approach to find actual truth. Truth is a bad word these days on the platforms that we do live streams on and videos on and stuff, because truth now means truther, the people who are producing the BS, right? But I still think it holds true.
Well, the way I see it, he's looking at data that leads to the other data. That's the problem that Catz is talking about. There's different levels of data. Like you say, you read the headlines of the newspaper and don't read the story. I've got it now.
You might be able to say he's following his own dominoes, not the right ones.
Right.
Yeah. And
Right. He just finds the headlines that just match his confirmation bias. His just seems to be a little bit stronger than a lot of people's.
mhm. And that's wrong in research. Like when you're actually going to report on something or speak on something, that's terribly dangerous with research, to take a straight line like that just to your point. Like, okay, you're not supposed to be looking at all of the data to prove your point. You're supposed to be looking at the data for what it actually says to see if it proves a point, not like picking out this section and picking out that section. That's what's so dangerous about it, because he's actually showing people how to do it. That's what scares me. Yeah.
Yeah, he is very, like, he'll get his headline. He doesn't want to dig any deeper. And you know, I've got some one or two papers that I'll bring up later on that I think really hammer that point home. I'm conscious this heater next to me is really loud. Is it? Can you hear it?
I don't hear it.
No,
Still
you're
can't,
perfectly
man.
fine.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you though, Catz, did he ever speak on what should be done instead of what he's saying? Like, if does he actually go into detail about the change that he's doing?
No, you see, because he'll never come out and say that he's blaming the vaccine. He will come out and say, I'm just looking at data. And this is where he's clever, that he does just, everything he says is true. So like with the other video, it is true that there's excess deaths. It is true that we've got a lot of heart-related excess deaths in the UK. It is true that Australia's got a lot of excess deaths. He'll say all of that stuff, and it's all true. But it's still misleading. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So he'll never come out and say something that's wrong. He'll just mislead you with the truth. And I've never known anyone be able to do that before.
Well, that's the scary part, and I can see why it's so unsettling. Sorry.
No, Claire, sorry to interrupt there, but Catz, that's why I think it's slightly premeditated, because it sounds like, how can you be so good at it naturally? Yeah, I mean, the man was one of the biggest born liars in the history of the world. If he's not premeditating it, come on.
God, I mean, I still, a big part of me just thinks he is totally and utterly shit at looking at data and reading papers and understanding what they mean. And I've been lazy with this in the past, when I've been like making videos against flat Earth, and you really don't need any brain power. I've been a bit lazy and gone, oh, the abstract of that paper says this, that'll do. And I've chucked that in a video, and I look back now and think, well, that was really lazy and I shouldn't have done it. But you can get away with that when you're debunking stuff like flat Earth, because that's dumb. But I think that's what he's doing here. And I honestly don't think he's read any of these papers that he pulls his headlines from. And I think he's getting fed the headlines from anti-vax groups, in my own personal opinion, not fact, obviously.
I think they all do. And I've noticed that there was a thing about the disinformation dozen, and they push out all of that misinformation that we're debunking today, YouTube. But yeah, they all seem to do that, and they all seem to follow that same MO, where they just read, like, they might read the abstract of a paper and not get any further than that. They'll just pick out sentences that will, might help with their point. But other than that, that's what I've noticed when I've been in Discord, debating with people who are anti-vax. It's really interesting how they do that. They all seem to do the same thing.
It seems to me that, like, he's a product of his own success, because I mean, like, Culture Catz was watching his videos back in the day, but the COVID thing, his channel just exploded. And he got into this routine of doing like maybe one, maybe two videos a day. And he's, like you say, he just doesn't even have the fucking time to go and check up on stuff. So I think he's just like cranking stuff out because he feels he has to, and just go with his instincts, and just
got to keep those numbers going once they got there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
And that's the scary part, is he's pushing out this information that has some, and this is what we've noticed too, is sometimes some of these people will come out with things that have a grain of truth to it, but they don't elaborate further. They use it to push something else, and that's what they do. They don't, and if they're not taking the time to do the research, then they are pushing out misinformation.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
I wonder. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, you go. Sorry.
I was wondering if, like, the support from those groups, from those anti-vax groups, also must have helped him go along his path even more to be accepted. To, you know, they would be coveting the credentials, that he's speaking out on it, that he's using data, that he's backing it up. It's like, you know, why change? Like, it seems to all be going well, right? The numbers are increasing. You got a whole group around you that's supporting what you're saying. People are coming to listen. It could go to your head, especially if he was feeling a little off because of what was happening in his personal life. I mean, but I would hope he'd shake it off. Like, we need to shake him. He needs a good shoulder shake.
Exactly. You know, he was in a vulnerable spot and they were grooming him, like, more than likely. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I haven't seen his channel for a long time. I stopped watching it a long time ago. But I'm just wondering if you watch it now and he's going to be saying, oh, right, we're going to start talking about some numbers. But first, we're going to hear from our sponsors, Shark VPN.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. Have you ever wanted to be a lord or lady in Scotland? You can
I was just going to do that. I was just going to do that one, DK. It had to be the fucking lordship one.
Yes. Let's go to entitlements. Yep. Wow. Well, it's unfortunate because he is so believable, right, Catz? I mean, he's so well-spoken. He's so likable. He's relatable on all levels. You don't have to understand the data yourself because of the way he's explaining. He's very personable, which I find also to be very dangerous if he's going to be doing this, because he's likable.
He certainly comes across as a voice of authority.
Exactly.
And that's it. That's the scary part. And why misinformation spreads so far and so wide is because of people who sound like have the credentials and sound like they're knowledgeable in what they're talking about. That's how it spreads.
Absolutely. And but what you said before about sort of like due, I don't think you used the term, but essentially you were saying he doesn't have the time to do his what the hell is wrong with me? Why can't I say it?
Come on, due diligence. One uses due diligence.
That's right.
Maybe you should have gone with the British wine versus the beer, Catz. I'm just saying.
God, I think my brain's trying to tell me something, but I just don't think he does do the due diligence. Fucking shit.
I'm gonna take madness. Due diligence.
Wait, get the flashcard up. Due diligence. Carry on. Go ahead.
Due diligence. There we go.
Right over it. Yeah.
Got it. Like, for example, there's I've got an example.
Get with the Jews now.
don't want to cover. Well, dear me. I think link 9 I sent you highlights that point quite nicely. If I can find it on my thing, it might not. It might say something completely different. But let's have a look. No, link 9 we've done, haven't we?
Did we?
Link 8. Yeah, link 9 we started with. Link 8.
Okay. 8 is
1 minute.
Oh, okay.
38 to start with.
1 minute 38. So that is wait a minute. Is that okay? Which one of 1 minute 38? I don't have a timestamp on that video, so I don't know which one I'm going to.
It's the one that says Dr. John Campbell and Professor Norman confused.
Yeah, okay. 1 minute 38. Got it. Here we go.
I'll
Jesus.
just put a bit of a preface before this comes on. I don't know who Professor Norman Fenton is. I've no idea. But I've seen a tweet from him, and he thought he'd found a huge hole in the integrity of the NHS in terms of the data they were reporting. And within literally like a day, John Campbell had made a video on it. Without obviously doing any due diligence and more fucking shit. You know what I mean? I'll let you play the clip.
2021, the size of the usual resident population of England and Wales was 59.5 million. And that was the breakdown. So 56 million people in England. 56 million people, 56.5 million people in England. Now, NHS Digital they say that there's 62 million people registered with the GP practice in England as of the 1st of November 2022. So, to be fair, NHS Digital are only about 5.5 million out. So that's like, 5.5 million out. So 26, 27, it's about 5.5 million, isn't it? So the population is 56 million. Okay, it could have gone up a little bit in that time, but not that many by any means. 56 million and a half people in the UK, 62 million, 56 million living in the UK. So living in England, get it right, John. 56 million living in England, 62 million registered with the GP. And we know that there's several million people in England not registered with the GP. So if we want to know how many people are registered with GPs in England, we can see that it's more than the total population. This is just absurd. How we were supposed to trust figures from the NHS Digital and Security Agency if they're going to get at least 5.5 million out.
So what just happened there? I think maybe I set the timestamp a little bit too late, but essentially he saw this tweet by whoever Professor Norman Fenton is, saying that there are more people registered as being patients in England with local GP than we have in terms of a population in England. So how's that possible? And yeah, on the surface, when you read something like that, you think, oh, well, how is that possible? You know, and Dr. John Campbell, like we were talking about, not doing his proper research. I'm going to use that instead of the other word I can't pronounce.
Due diligence.
That's it. Instead of doing that and actually going and having a bit of research and having to find, and finding out what the reason for this is, he's pumped a video out and then putting the question in everybody's mind that we can't trust the data that's coming from the NHS. Whereas Dr. Susan Oliver, who I got this video from, took 10 minutes to find the answer. And I think I've got that on the other timestamp for that same video, which is it 5 minutes 55?
That sounds familiar.
I think that it's the same video that we've just had, but about 5:55.
Yeah, just scrolling there now. I think we're good. Yep, we're ready. All right.
I don't think we need to play much of this just to just to really show what's on the screen.
Although what I shared is just an anecdote, it turns out there are lots of what are known as ghost patients registered with NHS GPs. This report states these ghost patients include people who have moved house or left the country without deregistering, as well as some people who have died. Also, short-term migrants aren't included in.
But basically, it took Dr. Susan Oliver, that paper that was on screen, the population estimates and GP registers, why the difference, was an official paper published by the government to explain this discrepancy. It took about 10 minutes to find it. And she's given some reasons there, and other reasons are expats living abroad who are still registered with local GPs when they come home. But the document itself just really thoroughly explains why this difference is so big. No mystery, no shock, no incompetence on anybody's part. But of course, Dr. John Campbell hasn't even thought to research anything other than the headline figures before firing a video out. And of course, all of his subscribers are in the chat talking about cover-ups and, can't trust data and whatnot. And it's just, like I say, it is staggering. He'll get the headline figures and then he'll run with it, and everything else is an afterthought, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, it to me, it's really a sign of how people treat the modern era with social media and stuff, because you don't take one tweet as valid fact and run with it and then make yourself look stupid after because you were the one promoting it. You're supposed to actually take an ounce of effort and look into things. Come on, this isn't that hard.
Well, the funny thing is, dealing with, because my wife has a lot of illnesses and deal with the NHS and the GPs a hell of a lot. I mean, dealing with our local GP, I'm not surprised, numbers are wrong, because their administration is appalling. It's not like, people are, digitally registered and, they're checked by some kind of like fucking online counting system. It's just paperwork. That's all it is. and from what I've seen in the past, it's so absurdly, misorganized that it's not surprising the numbers are completely wrong.
Yeah.
It's it's fascinating that he thought there was enough there to make a video for 2.5 million subscribers to watch, and then start, to start questioning things that didn't need to be questioned.
Especially when it's so easy to find the actual data. I mean, it's right there. How?
But he doesn't. Sorry.
But how does somebody who's watching his content for factual based content not see somebody? Because when you're into somebody, you do a few searches on them and stuff, and you do find people that debunk. I mean, Catz, yourself, as somebody who's done flat earth before and so on, they find you, right? So what these people will take as fact his instant response without themselves doing the research. I think it speaks more about that group of people than it does him himself. I think it also speaks to the fact that if you want to and you're willing to, you can sell your soul to peddle BS. And if you do it in a way that's presentable to the moron masses, not the masses, it works. And it's sad.
A good analogy is the goddamn Trump trading cards.
Sold out in a day. 10 months after we all found out that NFTs are actually a scam and you can't make any money out of it. Well, everybody forgets all that. They're all sold out. They're sold out. And
just idiots with some money ready to throw it at anything.
I will give them credit. In the commercial, they actually, in very, very, very tiny writing on the bottom, said it wasn't for investment purposes. And we shouldn't go forth that way.
So back onto Campbell. Before we go down the NFT route, because the thing is, like Catz pointed out earlier, that the problem is his videos are shrouded with an edge of truth. He does give factual information. What the problem is, he's throwing in these other things inside that little bubble of truth. And that's where the problem starts to come out, because it's just, oh, help me out here, Catz. It's your turn. Help me out.
Well, no, you're right. He does give everything that everything he says is true, but he's extremely selective. And a flat earther can do the same thing. A flat earther can say, "How can you have gas pressure next to a vacuum?" And then you can walk away and not say anything else. And to them, they've delivered some kind of truth bomb. And they won't look any deeper or look at anything else. But what they've said is essentially true, that we generally don't have gas pressure next to a vacuum, And I know flat earthers are at a much lower level than this guy, but that's essentially what he's doing. He's saying we've got excess deaths. We have excess deaths due to heart conditions in the UK. We have perhaps increased levels of myocarditis and pericarditis. And he's saying all of these things, and he's saying this is coinciding with the time when we've had a particular medical intervention introduced, and all of these things are true. And people that are listening to him and the gravitas that he has are going to put 2 and 2 together and get 17. Because what he's not doing is actually, joining those dots. Because if he tried to, he couldn't, And like I said, I've got some papers I'm going to show before we're done tonight, just to show just how badly he is, how badly he is. What is wrong with me? How bad he is.
It's really badly. Really bad. Actually, Aaron Reese came up with a great description in the chat. He basically said that he used the terminology "a facade of credibility."
Yeah.
That's an excellent description.
I think so. And I think a lot of his subscribers, and it's difficult for me to say this because I think nursing is such a noble profession. My brother's a nurse, my sister-in-law is a nurse. I know how hard they work. I know how hard they've got it, and I know how much respect I've got for them for doing it. So I'll apply that to Dr. John Campbell as well. But at the same time, a lot of his subscribers are under this facade that he's some kind of high-level medical doctor that knows what he's talking about. And they won't listen when you tell them, no, he is a nurse, as if somehow that's some kind of disrespect, and it's not disrespect, but he's not a doctor. He is a nurse. That's what he is. But a lot of his subscribers won't see that, and like you said, they'll give him that kind of facade of untouchability almost.
That's a good way to put it, Catz. Untouchability, because it sells that way through social media. It very much does.
So it's non-fungible.
Yeah.
Oh, don't do the penis joke again.
Oh, I got. Well, please do, because I've not heard that. A non-fungible penis. This is going to be good.
Yeah. The joke was Donald Trump released his NFTs today and showed the world yet again what a complete moronic fuck he is. And DK says,
well, he should make his penis for an NFT because no one wants to funge that.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah,
like
Trump putting the fun back into funge.
Oh, wow. Look at my camera. Here. Come on. Focus, you stupid fucking thing. Jesus. Seriously? Okay, somebody else talk. My camera's fucked. Never mind. I'm swimming right now. Okay.
The only real person here.
There it goes.
There it is. It's come back.
Get back and fuck us.
What
I'm glad you
the hell?
mentioned it was your camera, because I thought I was getting pissed. I don't know.
As I reach for another can.
Try to stay due diligence again, and we'll test you.
Oh
no!
Please tell me you're drinking Corona.
No, I'm actually on Stella tonight. I usually do Carling, but or Carlsberg, but I'm on a grown-up lager tonight.
Carlson, like Carlson O'Keefe?
Carling.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We call them burgers over here in Canada. Carling O'Keefe, we call them burger beers. It's an old school saying from a long time ago. Any Canadians in the chat might know it, but
you guys
we respect that beer. It's got actual hops and flavor, and that's why it didn't sell very well in North America.
Well, I don't know what strength it is over there, because I know the Carlsberg we get over here is weaker than you get it in Norway and stuff, but I think it's about 3.9% over here.
What?
It's weak as piss. Yeah, I don't drink strong. I don't know. Carlsberg is about 3.8 that we get over here. But I don't drink strong lager because mainly I like to drink a lot of lager. So if I drink strong lager, I can't take it.
Yeah, we got some over here that run up to like 8%, but I go for the 5s because I want to have like 12 in an evening, not 5, and just be stupid before the movie's over, right? You know,
here in America, like you get let's use Budweiser, for example. You go to a gas station and get it, and then go to the bar right across the street and get it, and they'll have different levels of alcohol.
Really?
Yeah, like lower being at the gas station for whatever reason.
Wow.
God. Well, I suppose that's where the drivers away.
Well, the idea here tonight was once we got through our program, we were going to open it up to a couple of the other shills to jump in for a little bit more camaraderie around the topic and stuff. I'm not sure if we're done or not here. Aimee, is it just me or am I missing the cues entirely? I don't even know what to fucking do.
I know. It's been going amazingly well. And so, yeah, it's just been nice to let it flow and just listen to what's going on and
Catz had more stuff to bring up.
I do have more, but I didn't know what the plan was. I didn't just want to throw one link after another, so I just
no.
I don't know.
The plan was the plan is to follow your lead until you're done, and then we just turned it into a shill shit show, right? You know, that's what we do.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what then. I'll just do, because I suppose we've been going about nearly an hour and a half, haven't we? And I've waffled a lot, so I'll bring up one example.
Waffled my ass. No.
I've waffled your ass. Well, that's thank you very much.
Pancakes, if anything.
Well, maybe I'll bring up one example of a type of paper to show just how piss poor I think his research is, and then maybe I'll call it a day at that. I'm losing track of what video, what I've got left and what I haven't. But I think I've sent you a link called "Increased Emergency Cardiovascular Events Among Under 40 Population in Israel." It's quite a catchy title.
Got it.
Bloody hell, that was up before I even finished saying it.
Well, like I said, I've done this before.
Jeez. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get up on my screen now. And then okay, so John Campbell's pushed out a couple of studies, if you like, from Israel that tend to lead towards a particular conclusion. And then when he's been countered, and again, you know, I keep using Dr. Susan Oliver a lot, but she, you know, she does really know her stuff, and she's been in this game since before John Campbell turned. She's seen the entire thing, so she's been countering him at every kind of single point, if you like. And I've kind of been a bit late to the game, but here's one paper that he used. Now, there's a couple of graphics down the bottom. If you scroll down, there's two graphs. If there's any way we could zoom in on the first graph before we talk about the second. Okay. So essentially, in the video John Campbell made, we have a graph here, and what if we look at it at first glance, which I think is what John Campbell did, and I think it's the only thing he did. Oh, it's disappeared a bit from the screen. It's gone. Oh, it's back.
I tried to enlarge it, and it fucking scrolled on me. Sorry. There you go.
that red line there. Oh, sorry. Let me explain this paper. This paper was based on information from the people in Israel that handle ambulance calls. Don't know what you call them there, what their service is, but basically the people who handle calls. And then if it sounds to them like somebody's got myocarditis or whatever, or some kind of cardiac issue, excuse me, they would record it. Now, the entire paper, if you read through it start to finish, doesn't give you any actual fixed numbers whatsoever, really, on how many people this represents. It's a very, very poorly written paper, but the red line that you can see on the screen that starts on its own on the left-hand side of the screen, that represents the number of calls from people who are expressing cardiac issues. Now, what the paper leads people towards, and I'm absolutely convinced this paper is being written by people with an agenda against the medical intervention. I'll put it that way for you. What the paper I think is trying to show is that when the medical intervention has been rolled out, there's a little peak. Now, if you look over on the right hand side, you can see two peaks drawn in different colors, and these peaks represent the number of people who have received a particular medical intervention to protect them from the virus. Okay, I think we all know what we're saying there. And we can see that there is a very, very minor increase in this red line. And what Dr. John Campbell's done is he's taken that paper and he said, oh, look at this. There's been a particular medical intervention, and we've seen a massive whopping increase in cardiac issues. But there's a couple of things that is hidden here. And the first thing that is hidden here is that if you look over to the left-hand side of the screen where the axis is, the axis doesn't actually start at 0, and it only goes up to 12, right? And these are number of calls, and it's over an average of a 5-week rolling period. These numbers are very, very small. It actually starts at 4, and it goes between about 4 and 10 on the entire graph. And that is the reason that this graph is jumping from high numbers to low numbers, back to high numbers, back to low numbers, because really you're dealing with very, very, very small cohorts. Oh, sorry, Dick, you got you.
Yeah, no, I was saying that the margin of bottom to top is so tiny that it looks drastic. But if you were to put this graph on a more realistic X and Y axis of numbers, it would be a very, very much more flat line.
Oh, absolutely. That is exactly it. But for some reason, when they've done this, they've decided not to plot it from 0. And we've got these huge fluctuations. So that fluctuation that coincides with the medical intervention, if you like, has really only pushed the number up from 9 to 10. There's no huge surprise there. There's no huge jump. However much that graph has been made to look that way, it just simply doesn't exist. If you scroll down to the graph that's slightly below that, the figure 2. What the paper's Oh, am I waiting for my screen to catch up? I might be. Are you on the single graph now? That's zoomed in.
I'm on 2. Do I want to be on 3 or B? This one?
No, here? No. It's just a delay on my side. I didn't see it.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, you've scrolled back up again now. Or is that the delay?
Well, check it on the meets feed. look, pin the Shills video feed and you'll see it in real time.
I am a moron. Yeah, you need to go down to that's what I was looking at, thinking it was the live feed.
You want this one, right?
Yeah, that one, please. Yeah.
Okay.
So what they've done there is they've zoomed in on that little bit and they've introduced this green line here. Now, this green line represents like for some reason, an introduction of a vaccine for people who've already had COVID, but then recovered from it and then been vaccinated. And we can see that line kind of peaks up, and following that line, we can see another little peak in the red line for cardiac arrest. But again, when you look onto the right-hand side, we can see that there's a completely separate scale for this. And this only runs between 0 and 2, and it corresponds with a trough in the cardiac the cardiac problem. There's no real link between those two, but when this has been shown on Dr. John's channel, and it's been shown as it's been shown really as a trend to support somehow that this medical intervention is causing an increase in cardiac problems. And when you read through this entire paper, actually nowhere in this paper, A, does it confirm any of these people actually had cardiac problems to start with, because this is data fed by people that handle ambulance calls and nothing else. And it doesn't actually give the raw numbers. It just kind of gives a rolling 5-week average of, 10 or 12 people over a, it's a shit paper. But sorry, I'll just say, while you comment on that, what was the response to this paper back to John Campbell was, oh shit, where was it? I sent you another paper. There we go. Myocarditis in SARS-CoV-2 infection. If you could click on that, and then sorry, I'll stop talking for a bit.
Is that the one where there was the highlighted bit and we were like, holy shit, I couldn't believe it. It did it?
Yeah, and if anyone in the chat can tell us how we did that, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Somehow he sent me a thing, and you see the pink with the highlighted? When he sent me the link, it came through with the highlight, and we were both like, that's an amazing tool. How'd you do it? I don't know. Not me either.
It'll never happen again.
Well, it was sorry, I feel like I've just did anyone want to say anything about that last paper before I waffle on? Or
oh no, actually I do have a question though, if it's all right to squeeze that in there. Aaron Reese says, I've floated the idea that a lot of this falling for the misinformation thing is due to people's inability to cope with the reality of a pandemic. What do you think to that?
That's a good shout, I think.
I do too.
Yeah. And the pandemic was so horrible, wasn't it? And what I think with the pandemic as well, and I suffered this, I'll tell. Never said this before, but I've been teaching for over 20 years, but what I did just before the pandemic is I went self-employed, and I employed a small team of tutors underneath me, and we actually went into school to deliver intervention to underperforming kids, and it was a great gig, but we were self-employed, and we did it just before the pandemic. And then the pandemic over here shut the schools, and because we'd all just gone self-employed just before it happened, we were fucked, and we got none of the self-employed help that the UK offered, and we literally went penniless while the schools were shut. And even I was fucking angry, really, really angry. So I can understand people out there struggling to cope and being angry and wanting to say these lockdowns shouldn't be happening and wanting someone to blame and driving you. I mean, luckily, we were all right, but I can understand how a lot of people would really struggle to cope under those kind of pressures, and would want to believe anything other than what they were doing for the best of the country.
So it's really, I found it was a really big test for some people, especially of your mental character, who you truly are. Can you separate what's best for the world from what's best for yourself?
That's a good question there.
Quite a few people failed, unfortunately.
They did. And Aaron Reese and I were talking about that in the chat as well. We both have health conditions, physical health conditions that we've had to deal with, you know, the medical system for a long, long time with. And I think too, having having that experience, and of course with with my child too, he's on the autism spectrum and has a whole laundry list of diagnoses. So we've dealt with the medical system constantly. If it's not for me, it's for him. So I think we've gotten used to it. So for us, it wasn't such a big wasn't such a big problem for us. Plus, also being an autism family, isolation to us was no big deal. We can isolate. We can do this, no problem. So with others, it might be more of an issue, and I can see where that people who haven't been through these types of hardships before would it would throw them for a loop, and you can understand that absolutely. And I do feel for them for that, and it's a big scary thing.
Whether the isolation changed people or not, I think everybody was changed in some way by it. Everybody.
Yes, true. And our economies too, in all three of our countries right now, are still suffering from the effects of it, the shutdowns, the things that our countries did to protect people, and people are pushing back against it because they're still feeling it. They may not have recovered to the extent that they wanted. Some people lost their businesses.
Yeah.
Their livelihoods had to change their careers. Many businesses here in America used the opportunity to downsize. And when the opportunity came to open up, they just said, hey, I'm making more money with y'all not being here. So, let's just keep it that way. And unfortunately, it just kept moving that way. So we didn't get the bounce back that everybody was kind of hoping for as soon as the doors were open. And now that we're coming into another winter, we have our RSV, we have the flu coming, we have some nasty viruses on top of COVID. Here in America, we're now giving out free tests again. Everybody can sign up and get more tests. And that's telling you that with a 65% increase in just the last 2 weeks, that there's going to be more infection. While we have stepped back where mask mandates have been lifted in most cases, and also there's been legislation to say about vaccines not being required even for the military or federal government employees. Now that sends a message that is probably not helpful to the cause. Actually, yeah. So it's going to be backslide. I only see us getting more people in the hospital. Like I see the number from 65. I mean, climbing every week at this point. Well,
it's easier for economies to fall and harder for them to climb. So it's going to be, we're going to have a slog to go. And it's been made painfully obvious. We're having, cost of living crises. We're having, and all of this is pretty big and scary. We're having inflation that's been unseen for 40 years. Exactly. It's killing us too. I get it. A gallon of milk now is $6. It's disgusting, but it's just
that's all
petrol's cheaper. Put that on your cornflakes.
Yeah. Or you just don't. It's like one of those things.
And it's expensive to eat healthier.
My gosh, especially now with with everything going up. It's crazy. Gas prices are still high. Heating oil is just through the roof. Electricity is now double what it used to be. It's not good at all. I mean, and so everybody's pretty pandemic weary already. Plus having never having to been through these things before, it's not good.
Right. Yeah. So then when they're peddling the misinformation out there or saying things like it doesn't exist or it never exists or it was some kind of worldwide conspiracy of all the intertwined governments to try to make headway some way, like I don't understand that. But it's a place to put their anger, the anger and the frustration.
Oh, absolutely.
That anger could come from totally unrelated stuff. Like I continue to use Arwen as an example, who sits there and says viruses are fake. Disclaimer, we do not think that.
Right, we're debunking YouTube, debunking misinformation, not spreading it.
In the same breath says nukes are fake and this is fake, that's fake, and never read a book in his life. And good thing people don't listen to people like that.
Well, he thinks the Earth is exactly. He thinks the Earth is flat, so that explains everything right there.
It's gotten so bad, though, that when you do human review of a YouTube debunking show where you are discrediting misinformation just by playing the other person's video who is talking BS, you can get yourself in trouble, and yet their video stays up. This is where we're at right now. This is why we've got to scroll on the bottom of the screen, and we keep saying it over and over. We are discrediting this crap. We are not proliferating it into the public. Please, for the love of God, YouTube, pay attention to what's being said to you right now, you deaf son of a bitches.
I like it. But you are right, though. When these videos stay up, that people, that we try and take down, it just somewhat just defies belief. I mean, YouTube has grown to the point now where it just simply is too big to police itself properly. It just can't. It just can't.
I don't think a lot of people appreciate how big it actually is. And it's like 300 hours per minute or something.
Dudes, you know how many of the big YouTube creators with millions of subscribers get more views in a week than cable television does?
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
And Charlie, it's more like 300 hours per second.
That's I was wondering in my head. I was like, I got that wrong, I think.
Yeah, you totally underestimated. It's huge.
Yeah.
Imagine
and some
that.
people, I will give them one defense here. The bandwidth to spew out our shit as well as everybody else's shit costs a lot of money. So I do understand the 30% of memberships and so on and so forth, even though I don't believe that, I do believe it's too big and stuff. I understand because it costs a lot to pump out the crap we're spewing.
Yes.
Picture of inside YouTube's mainframe.
Oh my God.
That's amazing. 401. Hold on.
God, 401.
Yeah, hold on. Let me get over here and pin 401 screen for a second, just so everybody can get that. Put it up again. There we go. Yeah.
Cool.
There we go. This is a picture of inside their computer chips. That's why it's so not functional.
Yeah, that's the logic that protects us, that defend reason right there.
Unfortunate.
Love it.
Unfortunate.
Oh, God.
So, Catz, you've spent your basic entire lifetime on YouTube now going at people who say things that are completely stupid, not even because they truly believe it, but because they've been wrapped into a community and they're just following along. Because we do know that's the case with a lot of these people, right? Now, you've expanded way beyond the flurfs into all areas of stupidity in your YouTube career now, and it's a great thing to see. We've done it as well. I applaud your efforts in a huge way. But do you not see the parallels? They're all acting out of the same basic human instinct of ignorance and acceptance and wanting to be heard and wanting to be seen as somebody who has their fucking finger on the prize.
Oh, the parallels are absolutely they're undeniable, aren't they? You have a lot of people that all have, at the core, some kind of distrust, some kind of, maybe that distrust has come from an experience they've had. Maybe it's a distrust because they've got religious beliefs or whatever, but it all comes from some kind of distrust. And then that feeling of being the one who knows and other people don't know, being the one online who knows the truth and you're awake, whether it's the truth about medical interventions, the shape of the earth, the moon landing, whatever, you've got that truth, those others are asleep. And when you find that little community, that little niche of people that kind of speak your language, and this is the kicker, right? They don't find those people in their real lives. And this is the harm that social media does. And you can't stamp on free speech. You can't do that. But it's free speech on social media that's making these people think that they have comrades out there that they have people that are actually like that, and fucking don't. You're talking about the odd loser and I shouldn't say that because some of them are probably mentally ill, but the odd lost person over here, and then a few million people later, you've got another lost person, and they find each other, and think, oh, we're a community, and they gain strength in that.
And they also find each other and then collate themselves into little echo chambers, and they start putting up their defenses to not hear other people. And that's when it becomes a little bit more harmful, because if one of those people gain traction, like this so-called doctor idiot, what you have is misinformation being spread as fact to people who are already at the altar going, yes, give me more.
Yep.
Yeah.
DK.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, what I find fascinating, I've seen this on a few different levels, where you have people who will believe in some kind of stupid idea, theory, conspiracy, or whatever, to a point where you sort of like, you can compare them to flat earthers. And you go, oh, no, don't be silly. Flat Earth's a stupid idea. But no, you are doing the same thing as flat earthers do. And I like to point it out. I've seen it in the UFO community. I've seen it. I've seen this guy who was he believed in the chemtrail conspiracy, and my wife was explaining to him that I debunked tone wood in electric guitars, and he goes, yeah, some people believe anything. It's like you fucking believe in chemtrails, you fucking idiot. and that's what I find bizarre, is people's like shut themselves off in their own little deluded little world with their conspiracy, believe it's absolute true, but you bring up any other conspiracy, they'll just say it's idiotic and stupid. It's like, don't you realize what you're doing?
It's funny you should mention that. When I was younger, and I was quite young, I was seeing myself through my A-levels and first and second year at university. So we're talking about 25 years ago. And I worked as a hospital porter in my holiday time, and it was a great job. I loved it, and I'd spend all day just pushing patients around the hospital or loading them into the ambulance and driving them to an outside building. It was great. You just spent all day pushing people around, talking to nurses, having an absolute laugh. It was brilliant. And we had a mental ward at the hospital, and I got chatting to one of the doctors on the mental ward a few times. Right, nice guy. I remember him now. And he said to me, listen, you're going to have a lot of dealings with our patients, shipping them in and out for the day clinics. And he said, what I want you to look out for is this. He said, when they start to open up to you, they will show you why they are patients here. That's all he said. He wouldn't give me any specific information. And then he said, what you realize is every single one of them believes in their own delusion 100%, but they can also see right through everybody else's delusion. They're sharp enough to see right through and not believe in anyone else's trash. And I remember taking one guy home, and this guy actually appeared on This Morning with Philip and Holly years ago, because there was a experimental drug that actually helped cure him. But before then, he thought he was James Bond. And I remember going home in the van with him, and when he kind of opened up to me, he said, oh, do you see this watch? And I said, yeah. He said, oh, I wore that in A View to a Kill. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. That, and I knew. And then when we got home, he said, but the other guy that he goes, that fucking wanker thinks he's an alien, and he just he could see that everybody else was, and the more I spoke to them all, and the more they were like, that guy's fucking nuts. He thinks this, and they could clearly see how everyone else's delusion was just off the wall, but they just couldn't see their own.
See, the thing is, that's somebody who's got serious mental problems, but it seems to me like that seems to carry through to all human nature to a certain spectrum, a certain level. Do you think that's the case? That we're all a little bit cuckoo?
Well, we could be.
We all are. PJC is a prime example, though, of what Catz is talking about. PJC can see through the QAnon bullshit, but he still thinks that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, well, he's not here to speak up for himself, so
well, here, hold on. Now I can bring him into this conversation with one button push.
Shut up, Meg.
That was my penguin, but undercover.
So, we've got to the point now where we can have a little bit more fun with the topic, Aimee. So, where do you think, if you want to poke fun at these people instead of just instantly, you're wrong and whatnot, what do you have to say if you want to, insult a little medical misinformation BS peddling little bitch that's on YouTube?
Ooh, that is a very good question. What would I say to a woo peddler? I would tell, definitely they're still wrong. I would say, maybe you ought to look into research more. Let me poke you in the eye. And Andrew Wakefield is a tit. That's one thing I would say.
Andrew Wakefield.
He is a tit. I mean, come on. I mean, that study was debunked back before the new millennium, for crying out loud. Can we just back away from that crap now? I mean, another thing I would probably say is, yes, these are fairly new vaccines that we're using with the delivery systems, which are mRNA, I understand that, but they work great. Look, everybody's doing great. And yes, we're debunking misinformation. We're not spreading it.
Right.
Thank you very much, you two.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Aimee, you said something amazing there that I wanted to bring to Catz right away. mRNA vaccines. This was a huge one that was missed by the entire conspiracist community because they were not some brand new thing that just brought to the world all of a sudden. We had been planning and preparing for this for years so we could finally roll them out faster, right?
Oh yeah, and that it's a massive misconception, isn't it? That this kind of technology was just, I mean, I find it more fascinating that people believe that on the, when the shit hits the fan and you need something, that we could literally come up with mRNA technology in such a short amount of time. Do they actually believe that we came out of that from absolutely nowhere? Of course that's been in development for a long time. In fact, I remember having a conversation. Do we all know Simon down here?
Oh yeah.
Never heard of him.
So he's all right. I used to co-host his podcast, and in fact, actually coming back for season 3. But we got Professor Jim Al-Khalili on. Now in the UK, I don't know what it's like in America, but in the UK, you've got like Brian Cox, and then below him Jim Al-Khalili. He presents like the Horizon program, Panorama program.
Oh, I've got lots of his stuff downloaded. Yeah, he's very good.
Oh, he's absolutely superb, and we got him
a real smarty pants. Yeah,
he is real clever, clogs. But we got him on, and we were talking to him, but this wasn't actually this didn't make the podcast. We were talking to him about this off air. And we were talking to him about the negative reaction to the vaccine, and he was such a nice guy, just what you'd imagine him to be. He's no different on camera than off camera. The guy was just a legend. And he was just like, well, I understand why people have got these fears and they've got these worries, because they don't understand the process that these vaccines have gone through. And then, I wish I could remember what he said now, but he was so articulate in what he said. And at the end of it, he thought, fucking hell, that's really well put, and he understood it perfectly. But anyway, I'm just waffling there.
Oh, that's
that is not.
That's perfect.
Did he do his due diligence?
He did his.
So he did.
You know what, Catz? We'll have to have you over in a couple of weeks for another stream, the due diligence stream with Culture Catz.
Will he finally get it? No, just kidding.
No,
But you had a good point there too, because ignorance breeds fear and knowledge is power. So exactly. So Commander 401, you had your hand up first.
It was actually Moderna that pioneered it, and med RNA, Moderna. It's in the name, and they had the first SARS outbreak. They started working on a vaccine vaccine, but they were able to stop it. So they shelved the technology, but they've been using RNA vaccines for quite some time now.
Exactly. Claire, you had your hand up.
Yeah, because one of the biggest things they're trying to push right now is that the vaccine is useless because COVID still exists. And I find that fascinating. Like, they don't even understand what the vaccine is actually for. It's not supposed to eradicate it off the planet. It can't do that. It can actually just help you fight it, but it's not going to prevent you from actually getting it if you're meant to get it. It's going to give you a lighter dose of it and everything.
Exactly.
And but they're trying to use this, and they're comparing it to like other epidemics that we've had, which here in the United States, you would like to say, okay, like let's use the polio virus for an example, and that fast growing epidemic, and how the technology was there. We brought out the vaccines in several different ways. It was growing, it was changing. They got a handle on it. They made the vaccine actually something that was part of school children. It was like promoted really heavily. Almost everyone got it. And so we don't really see polio here, right? But is polio still on in the world? Yes, they've had an outbreak in India. We've had it in the water supply in New York just recently. It's not that it can take it off the planet and destroy it, like some kind of supervillain. It just protects the people from how bad you'll get it and how far it'll go, and to keep epidemics of it from happening. But it doesn't eradicate it. And I find that really ridiculous when somebody argues with me about that. But I'm not going to get the vaccine.
That's exactly it.
Because it can't really keep COVID from happening. And I'm like, no, you just don't understand how vaccines work at all. You just don't understand this process at all. Like, we got to go back to square one. Like, let's start over again.
Yes, exactly. I can't stand that either. DKG, you're next.
Oh, hello. I forgot I had my hand up. Yes. Now, Catz has been debunking, not necessarily debunking, more of a debagging, I think, of this. It's almost kind of like a relatively sane side of conspiracy and misinformation. I'd like to ask Catz what he thinks about the injection that we've been getting that's creating self-replicating circuitry and creating MAC addresses and connecting with 5G. I mean, the levels of insanity that's gone as far as this this vaccination has got. It's just incredible. I mean, you've got to admit it. It's just I would say the creativity of the debunk of the crazy people out there has been fantastic.
And this is another example, though, where they will all fall out with themselves about that, because those people that, this aluminium-based life form thing or whatever, it's a stretch too far for some people, so they'll frown down at somebody else. But then they will be exactly like, like you said, they'll be concerned about 5G frying the testicles or whatever, and and then they'll be frowned down upon by somebody else, and it is just a chain of, I've got to say, I'm sorry, just a chain of fucknuts. Neither one of them knows their arse from their elbow, but they all know their arse from their elbow at a slightly different degree to the next one. And maybe that's a little bit harsh, but it is amusing to watch them clash like
Truth
that.
hurts, though.
Quick, drink more pee.
That's right. And it's not too harsh. I mean, the truth hurts sometimes. You just have to say it as it is. It's like, geez.
But come on, Catz, admit it. Your internet speed is faster now, right? Like the vaccine, it cured everything, didn't it?
You know what? If it would make my internet speed faster, I would.
I'd have 5 more.
I know. I'm going for my booster tomorrow.
I made the mistake of buying an air fryer. I didn't realize I just had to put my mobile phone next to a piece of chicken breast to cook it.
Or yourself.
Or yourself if you got vaccinated, right? Here we go.
Right. We have a hand up. Commander, you were next.
What I don't get right, there's supposed to be 7 doses in a vial, and didn't they ever think, how do you control what if one person gets all 7 microchips, or whether or not you get any? Did they ever think that far through?
That's a good question.
That
Very
isn't
good
bad.
question. I don't
Yeah.
think they did.
That is a good question. What was the intent? How are they choosing the distribution tactics of the? Yeah, I like it.
That's one of
I like
those
that
moments
question.
where the penguin comes in hitting hard. You know, it happens a lot around here.
Exactly. Who else believes the aliens brought viruses to Earth? Exactly, CF. That was brilliant.
Well, I was just recently watching. One of the things I do to fall asleep is I watch the universe, how the universe works, the Stephen Hawking specials. I have really bad tinnitus in my ears, so I need, a little bit of sound. And recently there was an episode I watched where they were talking about how much of the human body is not actually human because it's viruses and other cells and whatnot that aren't truly us but are a part of it. And some of these people who are scared of the virus and the vaccine would be well done in their own personal lives to learn about the fact that you're probably made up about 12% of viruses as you stand right now, you stupid son of a bitch. Right? I mean, for the love of God, you're carrying so many you're already immune to. It's not funny. What's wrong with being immune to a couple more?
Exactly. Well, that's exactly it. And what I want to know is what's wrong with learning something new. This is the new thing that I've noticed with some of these conspiracy boobs too. They're so anti-education. Flat earthers are always like this too. It's like dumb is cool. So, why don't you try to learn something? Try to educate yourself. Ask, anybody that's, that is an expert in the field. Talk to them. It's not going to kill you. It won't hurt you. That's how I learned about things. I have a whole team of medical experts. That's why I trust their judgment and their opinions when it comes to Matthews and my health. And that's why we got the vaccines, because and also how I knew that vaccines do not cause autism. Yes,
The medical
YouTube.
intervention, you mean?
Exactly. And yes, YouTube, we are debunking. We are not spreading misinformation. So, that's how I knew what was going on and how things work, because I had a whole team that I asked, and I asked for second opinions. I asked, a whole slew of doctors all throughout Maine that, what's going on here? What is this that I'm seeing? What is this that I found? I didn't fall for it immediately. I think because I was willing and ready to get that information, because I've always lived by the mantra that knowledge is power, ignorance causes fear.
Exactly. Knowledge is power.
You got to be careful. You got to be careful there, Aimee, because you're saying you got to ask questions, but as we all know, curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah, but that cat didn't have a Z on the end of its name.
Yeah, well, basically, we got to protect him. Yeah. Well, don't you want to sit down, Aimee, with the person who actually decided that being dumb was cool, like not looking for this stuff was cool, like that was better? I really want to have a talk with those people.
I really want to
talk with what? A baseball bat? Fuck.
Yes, just that. Yes, I want to get on
fingers,
jersey
on
them. Yes, I do.
I really want to sit down with a disinformation dozen, and I want to ask them questions about why they're doing that, because what they don't realize, or even they might even realize that they're doing it, they're hurting people. They're hurting families with kids with autism. They're hurting people who might get COVID. They're hurting entire populations, and they're putting fear in people, and they're making people distrust things, and that's bullshit.
But
so I want to know. Well, that's it. That's the problem, and I would like to know why. And I would, and then afterwards, I would proceed to poke every single damn one of them right in the eye. So there we go.
Both eyes. Let's just knock.
Oh yeah, we'll do the Three Stooges thing.
well, Aimee, the classic one is Alex Jones. He literally just did not. He literally did not care what he was saying, as long as it just got. He was being like a shock jock, sort of thing. He really didn't care what he said. and that's
Fuck that
trickling
fucking
down.
fuck.
Well, the thing
And-
is that's trickling down through, you know, people who want to be YouTubers and streamers. Yeah, so they'll say the same old shit. You know, Ham's worm hat. You know, people are dressed up as gorillas. It would just say
Dumbasses,
any
yes.
old shit.
It,
Yeah,
it
you're
really,
right. You're right there,
really-
DK. Yeah.
And I'm
really
sure.
tried- Go, I'm sorry, Amy. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say on DK's point, you really try to support somebody being able to say what they want that way. But then when they doubled down after everything happened and actually said that he'd do it again and that no money would ever go to those families, regardless, said it live right after the
My freedom of
Yeah.
speech.
that's not freedom of speech because
No,
freedom of
that's just
speech,
being in.
there is accountability for what we say.
Well,
You can say
yeah.
what you want.
You can say
Yeah.
what you want, but you're
But-
still
Just like-
held accountable for it.
Yeah, just like Amy has clarified many times on this channel, you are free to say what you want, but there are consequences to saying what you want.
That yes, and I also have the right to respond to it too. So if
You're
you say
damn
some
right.
stupid bullshit that I'm going to debunk, I'm going to say, yeah, well, you're full of shit, and I have every right to say that too.
Mhm.
So, Commander, you're next.
One of the reasons why they want to promote distrust, I'm not saying every conspiracy theorist is connected with this, but I watched something that Vlad Vexler talked about Russian propaganda, where he said Russia wants to poke mistrust in every institution in the West, whether it be educational, whether it be the intelligence community, to break down society, and so that people don't know what to believe. And the people telling them don't trust, you know, the people who are here to protect you and who better serve society's interests. They only trust the bullshit artists now. And that's really hard to break through. And Ranty, there's a video that we should look up and like pin. He talks about his journey into flirdom and his journey out of flirdom. And it's really a good video to watch. I'll look up both of those videos and try to post them.
See,
Okay,
I don't think the Russians need to help. The world's doing it by itself.
That's
But I
sad,
wonder
but
how
not
many-
true or not wrong. Sorry.
I wonder how many of the old conspiracy theories that have been floating around since the 1950s or the 1960s were sown by the Russians. The protocols of the Elders of Zion, which is utter bullshit, and it's from where a lot of the New World Order conspiracy theories come from. That was first promoted by the Tsarist version of the KGB. I mean, you know, like there was a Tsar, the Tsar did the same thing KGB did. And then the KGB spread the protocols through the Arab world, and the Nazis spread the protocols. And a lot of the conspiracy theories have their roots being spread by foreign hostile governments. Just don't know how many of them.
I think there's also Catz, I think you'll back me up on this. I think there's also a more is it kindred? I'm not sure. But within the group of those who kind of shunned education to any kind of higher level, there's a real easy to grasp belief in things that aren't actually true if they're being spoken by somebody with passion and authority.
You know, I agree with that. And as a teacher as well, people don't like being told what to do or what to think, you know, and kids at school, you know, kids are just like anybody else. They don't like being told what to do and what to think. And when you are teaching kids, quite, you know, there'll be some that want to lap it up and listen to everything you got to say, and then there'll be some that just don't want to be there and they resent the time they've got to spend with you. And then when you know, they drop out of education early or whatever, and they hear somebody that's full of charisma that they do want to listen to, it's a case of like, ha, fucking, like, you know, my teacher was a wanker, but you're the guy I'm going to listen to. And you're right, they find someone to latch onto. They get that kind of I think kindred spirit was what you were saying, was it? They get that kind of trust with them, but they don't.
It's more than camaraderie, because they feel some sort of connection to the other person that's fueling their own inner belief and forwarding it, right? And it makes them run to it like a greyhound at the fucking start line, you know?
What they are finding are false prophets.
Oh, dear God. That's a rabbit hole.
Well, no.
Oh God, that is a rabbit hole.
I don't just mean in a religious sense. I just mean, there were people who were just like spout shit. And I could name a few, but I won't. Who just like just talk and they have their YouTube channels and just spout all kinds of shit. But people just like respond to them, they like them and listen to them and get caught up in their whatever zeitgeist they're coming from. It's just how people are.
True. And nobody is immune from confirmation bias. So, and so if you're conspiratorially minded and that's your bias, you're going to go for that every single time.
Yeah, and and it's really easy to find in modern social media, right, Aimee? Like it's easy to consume.
It's always, misinformation has always been out there, and you've always had conspiracy theories out there, but now we're far more exposed to them than we used to be. So that's why when we see them, it's like, oh my gosh, there's just so much more now. There actually isn't that much more. It's just that it's so much more easily disseminated, so that way people can see it better. It's so it's always in your face. It's like the anti-vax stuff. Where did I see that? Social media. Where anything like that. I mean, and that's going back pretty far, because Matt's quite big now. He's 17, so he's back when he was diagnosed, even misinformation was spreading like wildfire about things like that. I mean, long debunked misinformation. And now we have other
long
stuff.
debunked, right?
Exactly.
Like so far in the garbage bin that you thought it was already taken out by the guys who get tipped at Christmas, right? Come on.
Right. Yeah. The rubbish bin collectors, they should have collected that years ago, but they didn't, so it's still out there. And there were, strange treatments going around then that people were saying, well, your child has autism, you should try this, and it's, oh my God. Horrible stuff. I mean, like the bad stuff, like the drinking of certain chemicals and
Aimee, that's gonna drive another 2 hours of live streaming you and I getting drunk and getting very angry.
Oh, well, I don't even need to get drunk to get angry. I mean, just give me a cup of tea. Yorkshire Gold, please. And I mean, it's just I mean, it just takes me just thinking about it and thinking about all the shit that I've seen and had to endure for the 17 years of my poor child's life, listening to stupid people saying that you should try these things because, and also being told that it's my fault that he has it. What is that?
It was given to me in the background to put on the screen, and I just had to do it because I'm not even sure why I'm showing it, but it kind of represents everything we're talking about right now in a receivership way.
Exactly.
Okay. On my point of profits, Culture Cats, you'll understand what I'm saying when I just say this one name. Russell Brand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now you understand what I'm saying.
I understand. Yeah, absolutely.
Give us a little bit of as a Canadian, I know Russell Brand, big UK person, so I need a little bit of background filler here to make that work for me.
Well, he's basically a dick who became a celebrity somehow. And he talks in a very kind of I'm not too sure how, almost kind of like some kind of Edwardian philosopher. Yeah, like, oh God, the names are escaping me, but
kind of burlesque.
Yeah, it's weird. He's a weird guy. He's got no education. All he's known for is going around fucking people. That's all he's known for, and he's become famous for that and become a celebrity. But he comes across. He has a YouTube channel, and he has these in-depth conversations with people, and he really tries to come across as a philosopher. But at the same time, he's just a fucking cock. That's all he is. But people love him and listen to him and repeat what he says. That's what I was talking about as far as modern day false prophets.
Kind of a British Joe Rogan in ways.
Oh,
Yes.
slam.
That's true.
Cats.
Well, Russell Brand, it's funny to mention, I do a lot of working from home, and I tend to always have someone on in the background, some YouTube or something like that when I'm watching it. And he has dramatically changed from when he was young. But I was watching a documentary he did when he was, oh God, he must have been about 20, 21. And he did a series called Channel 4 called, I think it was Russell Brand Meets or something like that. And he did 2 episodes, which could not have been more polar episodes, like more distinctly different pieces of television that I've ever seen. One was perhaps one of the best bits of television I've ever seen, and one was one of the worst. So the best one is he infiltrated a bunch of BNP, the young BNP party. So the BNP were like a white nationalist party in the UK back in the day, and he infiltrated them, and he really showed up the guy who was promoting like the young BNP. Brilliant documentary. If you ever get to see it, it's called Little Nazi, and well worth watching. Like really, really deep and meaningful. And then the following week, after doing that, in the same series, he does a documentary where he challenges his own sexuality by wanking a guy off in the toilets. And
well, that's just normal.
They're just 2 complete. One of them is like the most profound, like really brilliant documentaries I've ever seen. And then the week after, yeah, I did that last week. This week, I'm going to toss some guy off in the toilets. And it's just.
Okay, which one have you watched the most?
The Nazi one. I don't know if that makes me feel worse or better.
Yeah. Why would I watch some other guy being tossed off when I can't even watch myself? You know?
That's why he was called Curiosity Cats, and he's changed his name now.
That's
incredible.
That's
Erotic asphyxiation cats just didn't roll off the tongue very well.
Yeah. Yikes. We did have a good comment in the chat that really explains and sums it up really well. Cheesemondo said the social media algorithms spot people looking at conspiracies and push more conspiracy content at them, so they keep watching. They just keep on going down the rabbit hole then, and he's so right, and that's true. They want to keep you engaged. They want to keep you there because they make money from you. And this is so true. They want to, so they push all of this stuff at you. Commander 401.
That's what Ranty actually said in that video. It was the first link that I posted. He said all it showed him he came across a chemtrail video. And then sooner or later, very quickly, all it fed, Ranty said all YouTube fed him was conspiracies. And he actually wound up going down that rabbit hole because he needed to make a video for some college course and post it on the internet. And he just went down the hole from there.
Exactly. Catz.
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
That's okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw my tuppence in with Ranty there, because just like for I don't know how many people.
Oh, is that a super chat?
No, my hat, not my chat. I just want to throw my hat in there, friend. Because he's the only person I know who has dragged himself completely out the hole he was in. And I've had the conversation that you had with him, the commander, about how he was dragged into the hole. And we all know that he was well and truly kind of in there. And I remember I was doing a podcast with him while he was still a flat earther. And we had a rule that we're never going to talk about flat Earth, because if we did, we'd just argue with each other. Like, there'd be no point. So from day one, we're never going to talk about it. We talk about the podcast and we don't contact each other outside of that. It was like, we just don't, because we want to make the podcast work. It's something new, it's different, but we ain't ever going to end up falling out. And then one day, like, he literally out of nowhere, we'd had no conversation, he sends me a message and goes, I don't think I'm a flat earther anymore. And he did it all himself. Like, he literally pulled himself somehow, without having anyone else in his life to do it. He just pulled himself out the gutter. And for me, I think that's I've got a lot of respect for that. I don't know how he did it, really. I don't know, because he was so deep.
He's a very understandable person.
He was angry deep, though. Yeah. Yeah, he does, but he was angry deep, Catz, right? Like, he was hosting a show that was all about vitriol and whatnot being posed back. And then there was a snap moment. I'm not sure the snap moment was as quick as he says. I think it might have been a little bit longer, and he was just, unsure of bringing it to his community. But then he got to the point where he was like, fuck this, I just can't live this now. Mm-hmm. But either way, I don't think it takes anything away from the man. I'm a friend of his. I like the man. But I do believe that it shows that with actual effort of education, you can pull yourself out of those things instead of just falling into the echo chamber.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it did take a lot longer than, well, I mean, behind the scenes, he told me that he wasn't a flat earther anymore. It was a measurable amount of time before he kind of like made that thing public. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there was some kind of transition he had to go into.
There had to be, right? Yeah, there had to be, because that's a huge shift in the mentality of a man or a person. Sorry.
But no, you're right. No, you're right. It is a huge shift, and I think he knew the storm that was going to await him. And he got it from both sides. He got it from the flat earthers that he left behind, but then he
got it from our side initially, huge, didn't he? And it was a big pushback at first from a lot of people that were saying, oh, you're just doing it for views and clicks and blah blah. There was even people attributing his decision to seek truth, speak truth, and a few people and whatnot. But I don't believe that is the truth in the case, because if you meet the man and talk to the man, you can tell there's more behind it. And that's why I think it took longer than publicly was shown. You know what I mean?
Definitely. And those people that sorry.
He said that his flat earth friends were his jailers, and he happily let them lock him in for quite some time. That's in the video that I sent a link to. It's like coming out of a cult. He described coming out of a cult.
And that's I think the impression that I got from chatting with him. And but you're right, but it wasn't just the flat earthers and us saying, oh, you're just doing this for profit or etc. There were people that accepted that he'd come out of the cult, that wanted to shove it in his face. Now, I know for a fact that he's spoken to in person people that got in touch with him just because he wanted to say, fucking told you so, idiot, and have that kind of attitude with him. And I won't mention who that was. Some of you might know that person, but I do know that he did meet with someone that gave him a particularly hard time, which I thought was a little bit out of order, because coming out of something like that, you're not in something like that if you are, how can I put it, thinking the way you should, and coming out of that, you should be supported in that transition. And I think some people were wanting to stick the boot in and go, I told you, I told you you were wrong. And I thought that was a bit harsh, but he's done so well. Like the guy has done, I think he's in the best place he's been for a long time. And I was so happy when he took off with all that Johnny Depp stuff, with it like that. He's taken more views in a month, I think, than even Simon Dang got in his entire channel lifetime.
Yeah, Catz, that exploded. Claire was there for a lot of it, weren't you, Claire? That was some big time views. Like that was good stuff, wasn't it?
Yes, Ranty invited me there because I had been covering it for a while, and he had a good story, and we covered it every day, like sometimes 9-10 hours that day, depending on the trial case. And he had a good backstory, and he helped make the case about men often getting overlooked in these situations, in getting wrongfully accused. And we had similar backstories to talk about. I really enjoyed working with him.
Yeah, you guys really covered that well. If you're unfamiliar with Claire's channel, you'll find the link in our description below, and she does some amazing streams on all kinds of really worthwhile topics, and then she knows how to just get drunk and naked like the Shills do and party hard too. So get in that goddamn description and fucking sub that channel.
Yes, forget about the true crime, the legal, the political stuff I'm doing, but let's just do the mayhem show I do once a month. Yeah. Well, yeah, everybody needs to let their hair down once in a while. You can't possibly
always be
deal with
serious.
all that other stuff and be that serious all the time. I'd go crazy. I would.
Catz can't let his hair down.
It's very much the same as we do
let his
with
hair down.
but it's very much the same as we do with the Ukraine update and show and whatnot. People show up and sometimes get a little bit annoyed because we actually carry on and have some fun and laughs during the show. And how dare you have fun and laughs during a show about Ukraine being invaded by Russia? Well, Operator Starsky himself, who's a Ukrainian National Guardsman and a real big player in the Ukraine battle, is here having a laugh with us. Don't you think that every now and then people in that situation need to just fucking lighten up, tear one off, and enjoy themselves as a human being so they can get back to the fight? That's kind of what it's all about, dudes. Come on.
Exactly. I have 2 words for that: comedic relief.
Yes.
And it's, as you know, I've dealt with behavioral stuff for a long time, and I've grilled Matt's team. Poor Matt's team. They're going to be so thrilled when I finally go away. But yes, you need an outlet. You need a release for any of those emotions that you're going through. And that's one of the things that I have been told throughout our whole journey with Matt, with his autism and everything, is humor is laughter is one of the best, is the best medicine out there. I mean, and it really does work, and it really does help. So yeah, if we have a joke or two to, relieve the tension. Yeah,
that's right.
We're gonna do it.
I live by the rule of humor makes everything a tiny bit more digestible, and as such, we should embrace it so we can tackle the tough topics. I'm not making fun of the topic. I'm just making sure that we can enjoy the moment of talking about it. I don't see that as a big stretch.
What a shame we're not funny.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself, John Alden.
Yeah, John Alden.
There's a whole story that goes with that saying I just said. But yeah, Commander, you had something you wanted to say.
What I was told when I joined, right? That there was one rule: have fun, no drama, and we're here to make friends, not drama, and actually have a fun environment. And Starsky's living in hell, and this is a fun environment where we make friends.
It makes perfect sense, doesn't it? That's exactly what it is. I mean,
exactly.
True, and in all honesty, there is a little humor to it, but it really is an update, and it really gets down to the nuts and bolts of it. And we've covered some really harsh, difficult topics on Starsky, even on Uncalled For, and just you have to break it up a little bit. If you want people to listen to the real issues in the conversations, you have to make it digestible, and it gets to be too much.
I would say, Claire, when it comes to Uncalled For, we tackle issues equally as harsh as the Russian invasion of Ukraine,
true.
because we're talking about Iran and all kinds of really important things. You, Aimee and yourself have led this show to being, you know, as I see it, a pillar of the real news community, the things that people want to hear. And yet it's still an enjoyable moment to be a part of. And I don't see a problem with that.
Thank you. Yeah.
That is very kind of you to say it that way, Dick. I would just add one other thing to it. It's not the things they want to hear, it's the things they need to hear. It's the things we need to address. I mean, that has been my mission on YouTube since day one. I want to have the conversations, all of them. The ones you're running from, the ones you don't want to look at, the things that are wrong that you're really mad about and you don't think there's anything you can do about it. Those are the things we need to talk about, because that's how things get done. That's how things get out there. That's how change happens. But you have to make it digestible. I agree. So
Absolutely,
you do.
And some of you people out there are falsely informed that I run everything on this show.
Aimee, laugh out loud, please. Laugh out loud.
I have nothing to do with what happens on this show, but making sure it happens when they tell me to do it and as fast as possible. That is my role, and that is all I do on this show. This is Aimee and Claire directing the show 100%. I have nothing to do with it.
Well, we couldn't do it without you, Dick. So
Absolutely.
stop it. We couldn't do it without you. I mean,
absolutely.
You know where all the buttons are. Like, let's give you credit where credit's due. You got
every one of my girlfriends has said the same thing, so I guess I'll agree.
Yes, everyone loves Dick.
Yeah. Wait, can I raise my hand? I'm calling bullshit. I want evidence. This is a show about misinformation. Like, you need to come with
They just don't call you dickhead and you shortened it to Dick.
Yeah, pretty much. That's where we got the name from.
Can you
Yeah,
tell
I
me
picked the right
show
name.
before I kick your ass? Right?
Okay, I digress. I'm sorry. Okay, that was just a little mayhem for you all. Sorry.
Exactly. See, we do run the show. See,
Yes, we do.
you just heard an inside there that crack that whip.
It's stilettos.
Exactly. Hey, I'm short, so I can reach that thing. I'm gonna kick your ass, so you get going, cracking.
know.
Well, welcome, Skits Crasher. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How's everyone here?
Very well.
Hey, Skits, great to have you on the show, man. Awesome.
It's an honor to be here, especially with Mr. Culture Catz here.
Yeah.
Hey, Skits.
One of those people you're actually happy to share a screen with, and instead of fuck that person again.
Him again.
So, personally, let's look at this from a more personal level. You're yourself in society. Where and when have you come up against an anti-vax person, and how did you handle it? Now, where do I turn to first? Claire spoke first, so she already has a story. So we're gonna go to Claire, and it's a really, really dirty subject. But Claire, tell us the story.
It is, and it's personal, and I don't want to out like personal friends or family. But to tell you that the pandemic and the issue of the virus and vaccines literally separated our family. I am immune compromised. I was also the so-called matriarch of a family after my parents had died and responsible for bringing everybody together. And yet we had people that would not vaccinate, and we have small children in the family, elderly in the family, and they still want to get together for these parties of 60, 70 people during the holidays. And it couldn't be done. And it literally put a big divide in our family. Some of the younger ones did not want to vaccinate, worried about pregnancies, future children, things like that, believing some of the uninformed things, not really checking it out or not, but they're entitled to make their personal choice. But then we had the problem of, what are you going to do? You're going to expose everybody else to them? No, we couldn't do it. We did not have Christmas for 2 years. We didn't. And it's still a divide. We still have family that can't get together over this, and it's unfortunate. But they have to take their health into consideration and their family members. They're worried about their children. They're worried about their grandparents. They're worried about seeing this cousin or seeing that relative and then taking this virus to someone else's house and decimating a family. Where I live, when the pandemic first started, there was an article in the paper about a family that went to a viewing. They had one member of the family come down from New York into Freehold, visited them, had dinner with them, and wiped out 5 members of that family in a week. Like, wiped out in the beginning. So it was serious. Like, those are the stories we were dealing with in the beginning. So nobody wanted to take the chance. But what do? You can't tell someone they don't have the choice to not. You can just give them the information. And then the consequences are, well, you have to make your choice on whether you're going to be celebrating with them or inviting them to large parties and etc. We celebrated Christmas in July outside when the heat would kill everything and nobody was like near anybody, and stuff like that. Barbecue style, 6 feet away.
Yeah,
with
exactly.
a line to the grill to get your food, you know what I mean? And like the whole thing. But it was sad. It was really sad. But I can't find it in my heart to judge them harshly for making a choice. Do I think they're not informed? Yes. I think they could do a little more research. I wish they would look at it more. But I can't, you can only lead a horse to water. You can't make them drink, right? But
exactly. That's exactly it. Culture Catz, you had your hand up.
Yeah, well, just with the question of like, has anyone encountered this in the real life? And I had a friend. Me and my brothers are quite close. We all still live in the same estate and stuff. And we've had a friend for over 20 years, who right cracking guy. And the last time I went out to meet my brother around his house, we went out. We had a bit of a barbecue at the back, a bit of a fire pit, and a few beers and stuff. A few of the lads around, and I asked, where is, and I'm not going to mention the name, but where is so and so, this other kid? And the response I got back was, oh, he doesn't talk to us anymore. And I was like, oh, why? What's gone on? And he doesn't talk to them anymore because he's fallen out not with just his friends, but his entire family as well, because he's fallen right down the kind of like Andrew Kaufman, Thomas Cowan trap of the whole plandemic, as he calls it. And I just thought, how can this happen to somebody I actually know in real life? Doesn't even speak to his parents anymore. And I just can't wait to get my hands on him, because I don't think he's aware of what I do on YouTube and what I've done on YouTube. But I know that he often puts down all his friends and says, well, you're just asleep. You've not done your research. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, when he has that conversation with me, when I finally meet him face to face, he will know that I have done my research and I know the people he's getting his information from. And I'm interested to see how that plays out.
That would be
I've seen that with a friend as well. And he's like posting on Facebook constantly. And it's like, dude, what happened to you? Honest to God.
Sad, isn't it? Sad to see with people you know.
Yeah, we have a couple newcomers here with us. We have Skits Crasher, and we also have Cheese Mondo. We have Mipet with us, who joined a little bit ago. It's good to see you guys. Hello, welcome.
Hello. It's an honor to be here. Good to be back.
Oh,
excellent.
Jeez.
It's good to see you.
we're used to our angry dragon flying in when she wants to give us some stick and whatnot. But to have Cheese back, that's awesome, dude. Yeah. Great to see you, man.
Oh, it's good to be back. This has been a good conversation tonight. I've been enjoying it from the side chat.
Yeah,
makes a difference.
Yeah.
Not having to talk and let other people talk, and I get to be side chat for a change.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but you know my plan. I'm gonna cure that of you fast. You'll be around here soon again. Fuck that.
Just going back to what Claire was saying, there's a member of our family who believes the whole thing was a scamdemic, pandemic, all of that stuff, to the point where they've got a 6-year-old daughter. No inoculations, no vaccines, no nothing, and they're essentially playing roulette with a life now. Because they moved to Florida. There's no. I stopped using Twitter after Elon Musk, but that's a whole separate conversation. But
I know.
But the last hurricane that hit Florida, and if you're watching, family, I'm really sorry, but you're idiots.
No names, but you know who you are.
you know damn well who you are. No, the hurricane that hit Florida recently, I forget the name. I want to say can't remember the name. It was a guy's name. Anyway, that they had the opportunity to evacuate and they didn't. And it was the same conspiracy mentality that they've got built up now, because they didn't really get hit hard with anything pandemic wise. And they literally King Canuted the whole thing, and it was like, if I say it's not going to hit us enough times, it's not going to hit us. So they were they were like, yeah, it'll be fine. I'm on chat with them because I had the radar up and the webcams up, and I'm like, it's going to hit you about 130, 120 miles an hour. You sure you don't want to evacuate? No, I'll be fine. Stood outside just checking the horizon. We'll be fine. They were talking about 12 foot of storm surge. It will be fine. You can't help some people. Anyway, it's good to be back. Good to see you all.
Yeah. When stupid gets in the way, Cheese, there's nothing that you can seem to do, is there?
That's very true. Oh my gosh.
Would you guess that the anti-vax and conspiracies along that is that more like an entry conspiracy theory, or do you think it takes something to build up to that?
Whoa, that's deep.
I'd say it's an entry. It's an entry out of fear. Going back to my comment earlier, it's out of fear and kind of mistrust. And if you don't like doctors and you don't like hospitals, then you're going to have that negative view of them. But as soon as somebody then tells you that there's something in, a vaccine or something that might harm you in some way, you can, now I've got a reason. And then you find your best mate and you tell him, and then he tells his best mate.
I have a slightly different take on it. I think that river of denial is deep, because it was so big and there was so much out about it and so much information available instantly for you to get, that you literally had to stick your hand in the sand or get 7 feet underwater to not know what was going on, because every one of our countries were working together, all the large organizations, everybody was united in the type of information that was getting out. It was every damn day, minute by minute, everywhere, on every media platform. You literally, the denial river was deep, really deep, if you were not gonna address it. I can understand them. I just don't think they're looking at it, period, because it was there to see.
Exactly. The river of denial is the only thing not affected by climate change. Another whole conspiracy right here.
It gets bigger and bigger.
Exactly. It's just deeper and deeper. Oh my goodness. Commander.
You also, a lot of people who fell for the misinformation already had a reason not to want to believe it, whether or not they were upset that they didn't have a job for the present time, or whether or not they were a fan of the man who thought injecting people with disinfectants and putting lights inside their bodies would solve the problem. That was Trump, by the way. They all had a reason to want to believe the misinformation. Like a lot of flat earthers, they have a reason. It makes them feel special or something like that. you have to have a reason to want to believe something which is obviously not true.
Makes sense.
It does. I just wish they didn't make contrarianism so damn cool. Like, because I think a lot of them are just doing it just to be on the other side. Because it's like, rather just because they don't want to believe it, oh gosh, it's the government. Oh gosh, it's an organization. Oh my God, it's authority. Like I must repel, but it's dangerous. It's just dangerous. I just, like I said, I want to sit that person down who made like being, this dumb cool. It's really not. It's really not. It's dangerous. I really think it's
Very
dangerous. Yeah.
They don't think that far ahead though, because they're stupid.
You see, I'm glad you said it.
Stupid.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
I
Just
try
like
not
the
to say
Pets, the
stupid, but
Pets.
idiotic, dense, blind, can't say
Ignorant.
I'm pretty sure we had a question earlier on as to the percentage of stupid people in the world today. What percentage do you reckon there is of stupid people?
That would
Got to be over 50.
I'm saying 100% because I can guarantee we're all stupid about something. Guaranteed. Every single one of us here on this panel, don't you deny it. Every single one of us is stupid about something.
Of course.
Okay.
You're either
50% of us are less than average.
You're either stupid in who you got a crush on, or who you follow, or your favorite musician, or like you're stupid about something. So that's a dangerous question. I'm going with 100%.
Catz.
Fair.
And now you could toss me off the channel, Dick.
I was talking away though. I was muted. Sorry, I was replying to you. Sorry. So I'm one of the stupid people.
Oh, yeah. See?
So you've just taken down 3/4 of YouTube. Okay.
I just gave him the perfect reason to come for us too. Like, oops, sorry, Dick.
I think what you're saying there is like, that's a great question. Like, what percentage of people are stupid? And like, obviously we're sat here talking about virus deniers and flat earthers and etc. being stupid. I honestly don't think it's about being stupid. I think, like, as a teacher, I've taught loads of kids, and I'd never call the kids stupid, but I've taught some kids that are far more academically capable than other kids. But then when they've left, at 18 years old, I've looked at some kids and thought, fuck me, you're stupid, compared to other, when they've, they've been quite academically capable, because when I guess what I'm saying is what we call stupid is really closed-mindedness. That's what we're doing. We're dealing with people who just say, no, I'm not going to listen to what anybody tells me, no matter what, because I have a lot of self-confidence in my own lack of research, if you like. And in a way that's admirable that they've got confidence in their own ability to research, but it's not to do with intelligence. It's to do with the mindset. And I think a lot of people close themselves off purely because they don't want to be told by other people anymore what to do or what to think or to be given advice. And it's not an intelligence thing.
No, it's more of an emotional thing. It's more of a like we said before, more like an ego thing. It's a confirmation bias thing. As soon as once you develop your beliefs, a lot of the times it's very hard to debunk these people because their opinions are their identity as well. So they identify with their opinions and they don't want to hear any other information beyond that.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate,
which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, because just some of the most intelligent people on the planet will tell you they don't know everything. It's impossible. Like, if you think you know, you don't.
You don't. Exactly.
Okay? If you think you don't, you're coming at it with the wrong attitude. And attitude is everything when it comes to absorbing new information and things going on. It's the attitude in which you approach it in to make you open to actually taking that information and carry it on. If you're coming at it like you already know, or you're not going to believe it from the start, you're not going to get anywhere.
No, that is very true. Geez.
I was going to say it is a touch of Dunning-Kruger, but I think we're all slightly
touched.
Stupid about something. We're all stupid about something.
We are.
Case in point, I wanted to fix my car, got my Haynes manual out. I'm like, this is easy. You know, it's a 2-spanner job. I could do this. Take the car apart, bits all over the place. You think, okay, not quite so much. And then you have to go to somebody else for help. And I think it's really easy. That's even a slight touch of that Dunning-Kruger comes in, and you can end up thinking, I've got this. And I do it every day. And I'll take some, you know, whatever it is, I'll take something apart and go, hey, I've got this. Typical like man stuff. like yeah, I've got this. And then you get into it, you think, actually, I don't know anything about this. I've screwed up. And then where do you go for there? And then you either double down or you back out of it. But to back out of it, you've got to be slightly humble. And if you don't have that in you, then you'll double down. And that's where the issues happen, I think.
Well,
absolutely.
There's strength in asking for help or admitting that other people know more or are experts in something. There's true strength of character there. Like when you say, hello, you might know a little bit more than me. You want to talk? Like, you know.
Mine is, hello, which button do I press?
How the hell do I get out
of
of
my
here?
technological, you know, advancement
Bang
so
my head on the
far.
desk for half an hour going, I have a degree in physics. Why can't I do this?
How do I toss this out the window? Shall I throw it as a frisbee or as a boomerang? You know,
it's such a Jersey thing. Like, how do I throw it? How do I smash it? Not like how I fix it.
Some of the
Yeah.
smaller things you can skim across ponds.
Exactly. You can skip them like rocks. It's fun. Catz, you're next.
You're muted though. We need help with the button.
That's Dunning-Kruger on my part, thinking I know
But
I
I
could
love
use
you.
a
But
Google
I
Meet call.
absolutely, I adore you. Oh my gosh.
I think I hit the hands up button a bit too soon, because when Cheesemondo was talking, I thought, oh, I'm going to say this and hit it. But he summed it up perfectly himself. Like, you know, yes, we all do suffer from that Dunning-Kruger type thing. But what separates one person from or a normal person from somebody that's going to drive themselves down that rabbit hole is the ability to recognize and say, oh, actually, shit, no, I don't got this. You know, actually, yeah. Damn it. And then you recognize that Dunning-Kruger in yourself, and we all do that. And then it's kind of a humbling experience. But I think these conspiracy theories kind of miss that humbling experience and bite back. And it's kind of like, no, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. You know, but anyway, you know, Cheesemondo said that better than I just did, but I put my hand up a bit too soon. So sorry, Cheesemondo.
Cheers. Commander.
Catz, you as a teacher, you've probably run into this. During my first semester going back to college, this was pre-calc 2. Everyone was talking about how much they knew. And then the first test came, and everyone did so miserably that our professor took the next class and had to basically give us all the giant speech. You need to be humble enough to ask questions. And actually, when I was taking that class, I didn't know what I was needing to ask at the time, but I asked, how do you calculate a space curve? And the professor was like, you will learn that in vector calculus. That was Calc 3. And I said, but you can probably teach it to me now. And he said, yeah, but if I teach that to you now, that's all you'll know. And if you try to do any more, it will all collapse. And you have Flurfs talking about Green's theorem. Now, I've actually passed Calc 3. Towards the end of Calc 3, we did Green's theorem. I passed the Calc 3 with an A. Haven't been touching it since DE. I can tell you I would need to retake Calc 2 and Calc 3, but there's so much in between that no one knows is there until they're exposed to it.
Yeah, so you're talking about scaffolding, aren't you, really? Like scaffolding. And I think what your teacher said is probably really good. And like kids get so frustrated and they're like, just tell me this now. I want to know this now. And yeah, you can tell them. But, you know, I mean, it's like, you could tell somebody, if you like, I suppose, that Mars has a retrograde motion, and you could just tell them that as a fact. But they could learn that as a fact, but have no understanding about why Mars has a retrograde motion. I don't know why that thing come to mind. So I understand what your teacher's saying, you know, in terms of scaffolding and the importance of having those layers of understanding between one thing and the next. Now, I'm a science teacher, not a maths teacher. So your maths, from what you're saying, is probably way better than my maths is. You know, I've never heard of that theorem you were talking about. But I understand the idea of kind of like the scaffolding that comes underneath it. And it is important, and kids get frustrated. They don't always want to, you know, they don't always want to bother with that. And it's one of those things. How do you keep that motivation for learning going and wanting the child to feel they're being successful, but also say, well, hang on, you're just not quite ready for that yet. So that's a really good point.
There has been quite a few very good conversation points based on the topic of conversation we opened the show with earlier. And, you know, throwing it open to the floor a bit more, I don't think has weakened the well or anything. I do believe that, you know, it's a tough call sometimes, right, Aimee? When you know you want to have something that's a serious look at something, but at the same time, you want to have a Shills look where we do enjoy ourselves. And sometimes, I mean, the fellow babies out there watching, they don't quite get it, but sometimes this is a hard balance for us to find.
It's a very hard balance to find.
It's not easy.
It's razor thin. Yes, it's not easy at all. And sometimes we do great, like tonight, and then other times it just becomes chaos, chaotic and disaster.
No. Or other times we get in shit because we make a joke when somebody was very seriously about the topic. And we're not making fun of the topic. We're just trying to be lighthearted so we can get through it.
Exactly, because there are some topics that we cover that really hit very close to home,
right?
Like the misinformation stuff. So I've had to, if you've noticed, I've muted a lot tonight because I really want to just.
Oh, Aimee, I'm sure. Here, can I reiterate for Aimee? All you motherfucking fucks out there fucking talking fucking bullshit can fucking bend over and take it up the ass with a really stiff strap on, bitches.
And then what we'll do is we'll turn you around and shove a dead raccoon down your throat.
Exactly. I was waiting for that dead raccoon. I knew it was going to show up eventually.
We have a pile of these stinking rotten things and we never use them anymore.
I know, because it's so serious on Sunday, but a topic like this is so general that there isn't anyone that couldn't join this panel tonight and not be able to speak about the dangers of misinformation, because we all have a story. We all have a personal issue about the type of, like, maybe we started about this one man who should know better. And that's what infuriated us all, because he should know better. We know he knows better, and he chooses to not do better, which is definitely more dangerous than your average person. But it's all about the misinformation and the damage it causes. Almost every conversation we've had on this show, right, Aimee, since we brought it back, it's been about the damage of it and what it can do. And how to fight it. Maybe we should, I was just like, we should actually just really promote people really looking at it from all sides. Because the one thing I'm very proud of about what this show does is we never tell you how to think about it.
No, we just
we lay it out on all the stuff, and then we let you go look, and we want you to go look, and we want you to ask questions, and we want you to say, why do you think this, and where did you see that? We want you to get out of your damn boxes, your blind little damn boxes.
Exactly.
And stop bitching about stuff and do something.
And do something about it. Exactly. And, you know, and take what we say to heart sometimes, because what I want to do is, like, when I'm doing like the misinformation shows and the anti-vax shows and all of those things, is because I want to show you and I want to explain to you what misinformation can and does do to people. It does hurt people. You're more than free to go on and do, you know, ask your questions and do all those things about it. and you're free to believe whatever you want and say whatever you want. But we just want you to have the information, because I've always said it before, knowledge is power. And if the more you know, the more informed you are, the better decisions you can make. You know, I have a lot more to learn, obviously. You know, I'm still learning. If I don't learn at least one thing a day, it's a wasted day. So, you know, I'm only just scratching the surface on very few things, and I'd like to do more. But we want you to have the information to make a better decision and to understand what misinformation exactly can do. Like, take, for example, the anti-vax stuff, like the vaccine autism thing. Vaccines do not cause autism. We are debunking this, YouTube.
Oh my
you know,
God.
we don't
Never will.
Andrew Wakefield, here I am snapping my proverbial glove to stuff the absolute hammer of insubordinate bullshit up your fucking tight ass balloon knot to teach you what reality is, bitch.
Exactly. Because what happens is misinformation and ignorance perpetuates stigmas, and stigmas are bad. And that's what we've dealt with, and this is what we deal with on a constant daily basis. I still hear stupidity every single day about things that we've discussed on this show previously and on other shows. And we live this stuff, and frankly, it's bullshit. And I wanted to fucking stop. There, I said the fuck word.
You know what? Somebody clip it quick.
I know.
The fuck word.
Aimee
Not to be
said
confused
it's
with anything
serious.
else.
It's it.
Yes.
Like,
And
so much, Aimee. Like, at least when you can always tell if people are afraid for you to ask questions, then they really don't have a stance. If they won't tell you why they feel a certain way about something, where they're gathering their information, then they really, like, they're just spouting. I can't even actually take it as educated opinion if they're not willing to discuss it on all sides, like why this or that. Because most of those conversations, you can come to understandings why people believe a certain thing. You may be able to give them information to change it, or to look further into it and let them explore on their own. But I try not to judge them for what we would generally call here their rampant stupidity. You know, I want to learn how it got there, because I want it to stop. Like, and I think it's more valuable for me to figure out how that happened. Like, you look like a normal, intelligent person. Like, when I said hello to you, like, horns didn't spout out of your head, fire didn't come out of your mouth. So, like,
you didn't throw up on me.
So kind of similar to me. So, like, how did you get here? And they could try to do the same with me. And then I know that there might be like real conversation going on, and they're willing to at least learn. But when you're not willing to discuss these things, that says more than anything.
Hold on, Claire. It's not just that you're unwilling to discuss, but you're unwilling to discuss in an unbiased opinion and actually, see, I did a Catz. I stumbled on one too, so we're even. But you're actually willing to absorb real fact as fact and take it as such and move forward in the conversation. There is the big divider.
There it is. And we've seen it in the chat. Aimee and I have seen it both being attacked just for the conversations we're having on a primal level. Like,
you know, God, we've seen our two head girls get attacked just for being females, and yet, you know, myself and everybody's in the back producing the show, going, "Yeah, how do you think that's going to work out for you?"
Yes, it's not going to will, because when your fears that much, then you do know that he is in the word she, right? And that, you do, you do, and that you don't have women without men, like it's in there. Okay, it's in there. It's in there for a reason. Okay,
exactly.
And you're much better with us, believe us, because left on your own, you all don't want to be left on your own.
Trust me.
No,
I know I suck without thee. It's all good.
And Dick's hair is longer. Dick's hair is longer than anybody's, and it's got more hair product than any woman.
No,
I do want to add to that.
I'm sitting on mine right now, DK. I have to challenge you on that. I actually beat Dick in the hair thing today. But I'm getting it trimmed, Dick. You can have the crown soon. I promise.
There we go.
But you say that. But I'm 6'1". if I was to stand shoulder to shoulder to you, I'm
Yes.
pretty sure that your hair is just not that long. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's not. I'm only 5 foot tall. You're right. I'm only
See,
5 foot tall.
Everybody, shut up. Talking about hair. You're embarrassing Catz.
I'll have you know my hair is exceptionally long. Just I keep it in the wrong places.
I told you, DK, he let it down. He just let it down somewhere else, and he's not telling us where it is. That's all. He did. He let it down.
My wife bans me from wearing shorts. That's all I'll say.
I think it looks good on you, Catz. Don't let me go for you. I think it looks great on you. So there.
Culture Catz OnlyFans.
Hey, now there's talk amongst the group that we should wrap up this show because we've gone way too long, but it's been a lot of fun and there's some people that would still like to chatter a bit. So maybe we'll fire up an after show for like 10 minutes or something, right? You know, or maybe an hour or however long the beer flows. It's not for me to decide, fellow babies, right? But Aimee, I defer to your greatness, Aimee, on giving us a wrap up of how amazing this show was.
Oh, this show was absolutely amazing. It was incredible. I want to thank you so much, Culture Catz, for coming back onto the show. We've missed you, and this has been a great opportunity to bring you back. I'm so thrilled to have you back. Thank you for coming on. You always bring great insight and everything. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, bloody hell. Well, that's really kind of you, Aimee. It's been lovely to be back on. I always enjoy it here. And that's really, well, thank you very much. But hopefully, you know, I won't leave it so long before next time. And because I do enjoy it here. This is fun.
Thank you.
Catz, if I may, there are
You must come back.
about, you know, maybe, you know, odd appearance here and there from Catz hosting a show with Aimee and Claire coming up soon. So,
love that.
Yeah,
You
pay
know what
attention
my
to this
vote is.
space.
That's one of my favorite men on YouTube. So, like, you know, he's welcome anytime.
Mine too.
Absolutely. Everybody's favorite. He's just amazing. He's
Because let's face it. The reason why everybody loves Catz is not because he's educated. It's not because he's funny. It's because he mixes them both so well that you just can't help but consume the content. He's all that, man.
Because he's a snarky cat. He's a snarky cat. I like that snarky cat.
You can't go to bed feeling shitty tonight, Catz.
Nope.
Even if he touches himself.
He's gonna go upstairs walking like Superman, like what?
Exactly, right? So every once in a while he gets this look on his face, like, who are they talking about? Like, who'd they move on to? Like, who are they talking about? Is that me?
And the best thing about cats are they can lick their own bum.
Well, you know what? I've got an interesting story there.
That's a clean bum, then. That's not a bad quality, actually. I would go with it. Go with it, Catz.
I've got quite a stiff lower back. It's oh dear.
Yeah, apparently it's frowned upon if you lick other people's, but you know,
You gotta pay extra.
That's how he learns about what their diet is.
There's gotta be a better way.
Yeah, there's gotta be. Just ask.
You didn't win, Aimee. I did not expect that from you. Freaking did.
Sorry.
He's been hanging around you too long, Claire.
I think so. I've done my damage here. God damn, Aimee. I'm so sorry, Aimee.
It's okay. I've even said the fuck word.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm gonna have that. I had to put my hashtag. What hurt me not replied. Like, don't blame this on me. YouTube, stay on my DMs. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Hold on a minute here. only Aimee can say sorry, but I said the fuck word tonight and make that cute and hilarious at the same time. I'm sorry. There's only one, and that's our Aimee.
Thank you. I used to get in trouble a lot for that. My son would. He'd get... Oh my god. So yes, and I do want to thank everyone for sticking with us tonight because we did have an extra long one, and, and there were some.
It's been
interesting,
very
spicy
sticky.
comments. Yes, it has. It has. So thank you very much, everyone in the chat, and thank you for the conversation. It's been wonderful, and I do want to thank everyone in the panel for coming as well. You all did wonderful, and we have some old faces back and some new faces in here, and it's wonderful, and I love it. And so thank you. The more we expand, the greater it is. So thank you so much. And I want to wish everybody a great few minutes, because I'm sure everybody will be back with an after show.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We are going to put up an after show. I'm going to run my little self across the street and get an extra couple of cans of beer. And then I'm going to run myself back home, and I'm going to put up, and we're going to be over on Shills U, and we're going to be hanging out. And but before we go, can everybody agree it was amazing to have Cheese Mondo back on the stream? And you son of a bitch, you better start showing up again regularly, because I swear to God, I'll kill you.
We miss you. We missed you so much. It's great to see you again, and we need to have you back more if we can.
Dude, you're so loved. It's home, man. Just accept it and come back, man.
Absolutely.
So on that note, what do you think? I think we should turn to Claire, because she's got her hand up, and then she's going to turn to Culture Catz to give him the last words of the night.
Please. We're going to give the last words to Culture, but I did want to, with Amy's grace, to just say, if there are those conversations that I know that Cheese Mondo or Skits or Culture himself or anyone out there listening right now, and old Shills, new Shills, people like that, these serious kind of conversations you want to start tackling, just hit us up. Like, we want to know what people want to talk about. We know what we want to talk about, but conversations are better when we're listening to you too. So just hit us up. Y'all know where to find us. Y'all know where to find both Aimee and I. So
absolutely.
And
we're somewhere.
Where are we? Somewhere. But on that, I'd like to turn it back over to our honored guest. Thank you again for being here. Make you blush a little bit more, Mr. Catz. But we always love streaming with you. You always bring it. You're well educated with that humor and all that snark. I mean, you could, I know you're in the UK, but you could be from Jersey. That's a good thing.
You don't want to be, but you could be.
You don't want to be, but you could be. You're all right with me. Okay, but then again, go ahead. It's all yours.
Listen, all I'm going to say is, sometimes, well, fucking hell, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I always have a great laugh when I come over to this channel. It's been absolutely brilliant. Loads of beers, loads of just fun, great chat. It's been, for me, because I'm old and I don't have any friends anymore, and I'm never allowed out the house.
I so well.
Nobody will talk to me without looking at the ground thinking, shit, I'm going to ignore that guy, right? Coming over here is brilliant. It's been, this has been a proper night out for me. And I'm going to carry on the after show. So, yeah, just loved it. Thanks.
Oh, we love this guy. Isn't he the best? Aimee, on that note, why don't you say goodnight to the fellow babies, and I'll hit that fucking button.
Good night, everybody. Don't fall for the stupidity. Thank you.
We've got an after show coming up. It's going to be on Shills U. I'll tweet it out, and we will put it in the Discord and all that other shit that I can't even fucking remember right now. But good night, fellow babies. We'll see you real soon.
Good night, all.
Bye. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Charlie, say good night.
Good night, everybody.
go home.